Can I buy your autograph? No.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Sunday, March 10th, 2019. This is your award-winning Gitmo Nation Media Assassination, episode 1119.
This is No Agenda.
Tracking truancy for the climate and broadcasting live from Gitmo Nation Lowlands in the Schiphol Airport runway suite in the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where we're contemplating the dirty theremin, I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
I didn't expect that one. You saw the video.
Oh.
Nothing like playing the theremin with your breasts.
Well, if you want to call that playing.
Hey, man, that wasn't show material. I just sent it to you so you could have a chuckle. And I would like to...
How did anyone find that video? It's from some, I think, Spanish band from who knows where.
Now I have to put it in the show notes.
I don't recommend anyone watch it.
Everybody wants to see it. And a notice, for obvious reasons, this show will not be playing any Michael Jackson records.
Yeah.
That shit is everywhere.
Usual.
Yeah, because we don't play music. That would be the number one reason. Yeah, all the radio stations here doing the same thing. We're not going to play. We're not going to play any Michael Jackson record. It's the oldest radio station trick in the book.
Doesn't seem like much of a trick if they're all doing it.
Well, it's a promotional thing. That's what it's about. It's promotion. Yes, we are. It's virtue signaling of the highest order. Yeah, and we're also not going to play any R. Kelly. Yeah, it's crazy because no one ever complains about us playing Wagner with Flight of the Valkyries. Only Hitler's most favorite song. I mean, just as a point of order.
I don't know that was actually Hitler's most favorite song.
No, it was actually Goebbels' favorite song because he felt that it got everybody all charged up and ready for the big speech.
That could be.
Yeah. Which is why we play it.
I think Hitler's favorite song was some Oompa Polka.
Oompa Pa, Oompa Pa. Yes, well, I'm here still in Gitmo Nation Lowlands. Stayed here to be able to do the show, leaving tomorrow morning early. Although there's a code orange weather alert for tomorrow in the Lowlands, which means snow.
Well, that's one under red.
Yes, snow and heavy wind. Which makes it a lot. I mean, that's tougher for landing than taking off, but you never know what decisions they'll make. So I'm really hoping this is not too bad. Code orange. What is this? I want to go home. I'm done. I'm
sounds
ready.
Like you're going to be stuck.
I hope not. No. Let's think positive now, John. Oh boy.
I don't think thinking one way or another about it's going to really make a difference.
No. So I spent the weekend mainly hanging out with the kids, with the millennials.
What new millennial information have you for us?
All kinds of. Dexter came over. He flew in from the UK, so we could all hang out, which was fun. He is such a mogul. One day he'll own us. I guarantee you. That's Christina's ex-boyfriend from the UK and executive producer of the No Agenda show. He donated a while back. And let's see, what did I live? Oh, here's something I learned, which I thought was interesting. Have you ever played Grand Theft Auto? I'm sure you've seen it, obviously, but I don't know if you've actually.
Of course they have. Everybody has.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I got further
I haven't
than
played the whole game to win it.
Yeah, I didn't even get past level 1, and I was bored. But when you're driving, you have radio stations. And you can switch between, I think it's 4 different radio stations. One, interestingly enough, is like a top 40, an 80s top 40 DJ named Adam, who also talks about conspiracy theories, which is why it came up in the conversation. The kids are like, yeah, man, they stole your identity in Grand Theft Auto.
It's possible.
But what is fascinating is that these are streams that are on the radio stations. They're available just in, I don't know, TuneIn or some other apps. Maybe even, I don't know exactly what URL.
Spotify.
Who knows? But kids actually like to listen to this. They sit around and have this in the background, this 80s music with, with nutty commercials and all kinds of crazy stuff. I just found that to be an interesting tidbit.
Huh.
They're taking the radio streams out of game into real world.
Yeah, with stolen identities.
Right.
So what kind of conspiracy theory does this guy Adam?
Oh, yes. He talks about Area 53. I know. It's exactly.
So his accuracy's not that great.
He's not well, it didn't want to copy me too much, so they figured they'd add a couple numbers to Area 51. No, the only other really important thing I learned, the Netherlands is the ecstasy pill capital of the known universe. All the pills are made here. That's a known fact.
I did not know that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the Dutch, man. Oh, yeah. Now, I've never taken ecstasy, so I don't know much about it, but I do know that, it started off back in, I'm going to say, the 90s, and, the pill, everyone has pill machines who manufacture them, and they make little smiley faces and, sometimes Flintstones or, different characters. Guess what the number one ecstasy pill is right now in the Netherlands? It is not only the most popular, but also the most powerful. I think it's 200 milligrams of whatever, ecstasy.
Your head.
Close. The Donald Trump ecstasy pill.
Oh.
It's really crazy. It looks just like him. The pill is orange. He's got his wavy hair. And the
Orange
kids.
Man bad.
Yeah.
Orange Man good.
Orange Man bad. Orange Man very good to the kids. Yeah. So, really, I don't think much else is relevant for the show. I do want to say that if you do hear any glitches, audio glitches, yes, that is the correct usage of the term glitch. Pretty sure through all the troubleshooting the producers have done with me that this is a function of trying to run everything off of one USB 3 port through a hub, even though it's a very powered hub and good quality, and I think I have the right chipsets. So I am doing what is advised is to purchase the dock, which goes along with the Surface, and that'll give me 4 actual ports.
Oh, Microsoft makes something.
Yeah.
Oh, that's typical.
Yeah. And I'm sad because who wants another brick that needs power, which means another, God knows how big the power supply is. They never show that. I'm trying to keep everything lightweight, but you'll just have to deal. So you don't have to tell me that you heard a glitch.
I'm not going to tell you
No,
that.
I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the producers at large.
Are you talking to me?
You're talking to me. I'm talking to the producers at large. All right, this morning we have breaking news.
So we begin with that breaking news. An Ethiopian Airlines jet with 157 people on board has crashed. The Boeing 737 MAX 8 took off from the capital Addis Ababa bound for Nairobi in Kenya. It came down near the town of Bishoftu in eastern Ethiopia. Ethiopia's Prime Minister has tweeted his condolences for the 149 passengers and 8 crew on board.
What memo?
The MAX 8 memo.
Yeah. Well, statistically, I don't want to fly a 737 MAX right now. There's not that many.
These guys aren't going to read the memo.
But we don't know what happened. I mean, if this is the same runaway elevator problem, then you're right. They didn't read the manual, but we can call it the memo. That would be just tragically stupid, but it could be something else.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, but I mean, that was worldwide. All pilots knew about this. Training programs, manual, all kinds of stuff was adjusted for that. So, there may be more wrong, or maybe this is just the Airbus Boeing war heating back up again, as if it ever went away. Someone's like, hey, boss, we need to get more Airbus sales, because Airbus had some horrible numbers, like they only sold 2 new planes or something, some crazy ass, just horrible sales number.
And I guess the 380 they're going to discontinue.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a shame.
Hey, Bosch.
Although
I know
it's kind of a weird plane to even think about.
And all the
They're
hype.
stopping the 747 too, which is one of the greatest airplanes ever invented.
Boeing stopping the 747?
I think so. Or they're pulling back or something. They're not selling them anymore.
Huh. Wow, they're getting ready for those battery planes, I guess.
Yeah, battery planes.
It's going to be a
The
bonanza.
charging stations are huge, especially the ones in the middle of the Pacific.
It's going to be dynamite. Now, I am over here in Euroland, so I, of course, am watching the European news. Let me give you a quick rundown. Let's start off, I don't think you have one, with a Brexit update.
On Tuesday, Parliament is expected to vote on May's unpopular Brexit withdrawal agreement, which it rejected in January by an historic margin. Speaking in the English seaport of Grimsby, where 70% voted to leave the EU, May said if Parliament defeats her deal again, it'll be taking a big gamble.
Reject it, and no one knows what will happen. We may not leave the EU for many months. We may leave without the protections that the deal provides. We may never leave at all. The only certainty would be ongoing uncertainty.
In fact, many blame May and Parliament for the uncertainty, which has caused businesses to postpone investment, and persists with just 3 weeks to go before the UK is scheduled to leave the EU.
Yeah, it's coming down to the wire now.
They're not going to leave.
Right, but what are they going to do?
They're going to push it off.
They're not getting a delay.
They're not getting a delay.
Yeah, the EU won't let them delay.
You want to bet?
No, no. I'm just telling you what they're saying. I mean, we're still waiting for the do-over. I mean, what would the strategy be?
They're doing everything they can to get the do-over to happen, but the public, I guess, is resisting, or there's enough members of Parliament that have, that have ethics that are resisting. I'm not sure.
I don't know either. It's it's kind of quiet. You just don't hear much about what the actual plans are. Nothing on Democracy Now? Nothing on the NewsHour? None of that?
Nope. If I had a clip, I would have, believe me, and I was trying to look for a Brexit clip. There's nothing going on. It's just the quiet phase.
Yeah, this is about all I could find as well. It's just, okay.
And there's nothing in the financial markets. There's nothing. There's nothing. They're not talking about it.
Did you hear about Finland?
No, Finland I have not heard about.
Finland is in political limbo after its government resigned on Friday over ditched healthcare reforms. Faced with a fast-aging population and financial constraints, Prime Minister Juha Sipilä's government had intended to cut the healthcare system's expenses. But the reform didn't get pushed through, prompting Sipilä to dissolve his centre-right coalition just 1 month before parliamentary elections. The outgoing Prime Minister said he had been left with no choice after his key policy had failed. In a country where cutting costs to an extensive but expensive healthcare system is a major political obstacle. Sipilä added that he was hugely disappointed by the outcome. Finland's president approved Prime Minister Sipilä's resignation and asked his government to continue in a caretaker role until a new cabinet is appointed after the elections due on April 14th.
I was a little disappointed. None of our, we've got Knights in Finland. I'd expected someone to at least, sent me a little note about this. I'm not sure what the healthcare system in Finland looks like. If it's anything similar to the rest of Scandinavia, then we can kind of guess that the system is breaking at the seams then if they can't come to any agreement. This would be I guess they have socialized medicine, I presume.
Yes, they do. The parliamentary system usually happens when the guy, the head, the chief, the honcho, the prime minister, the number one minister,
foam finger number one,
he gets in that job, she gets in that job. They have a policy change they want to make. They have the votes behind it, and then they go ahead and they push their agenda, and then it fails.
Yeah.
They fall on their sword, quit.
Right. Isn't that called the cabinet fell? Isn't that what you're supposed to say?
Well, something happened. The point is that in that parliamentary system, that's what happens.
Yeah.
When you screw up.
Right.
So why didn't Theresa May quit?
Oh, I see what you were going.
Brexit deal got a no confidence vote.
Well, she's reptilian.
Or got voted down.
Reptiles don't just give up. They just flick the tongue and keep on going. I don't know. But this, so we'll see. I'm very interested in this. What exactly failed with their healthcare system? It seems that these socialized systems are not working very well. We talked about it on the previous show in the Netherlands where they're cutting stuff left and right.
Just fine.
Well, since you bring up France, this weekend, Act 17. That would be Doucet.
That's what they call it.
Yep.
Water cannon and tear gas have become
Oh, what happened there? Oops. Hey. Huh. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Well, that's odd.
Well, it's just a short clip.
No, it's not a short clip. It just, Let me see if I can reload it. Hold on a second. That was odd. What happened there?
Water cannon and tear gas have become a familiar sight for visitors to Paris, but this weekend there are signs that France's Yellow Vest movement may finally have run out of steam. Less than 30,000...
I should point out this is the globalist Euronews reporting, who just pass over the climate change tax that was included in the diesel and why people are really out initially. But okay. Oh, and of course it's losing steam.
People across the country turned out for the 17th weekend of protests, which began over the price of diesel, but grew into more general expression of anger towards a government seen as out of touch with the less well-off. There were isolated clashes between police and demonstrators on Saturday, but nothing compared to those seen at the height of the movement. President Emmanuel Macron launched a series of town hall debates across the country in an attempt to diffuse the tension, and that tactic appears to have paid off, with opinion polls showing an 8-point rise in his popularity rating.
Sure. Kill him with numbers, Euronews. No, he's rising in the polls. They're running out of steam. Yeah. The French don't really let up that easily, and especially now that the yellow vests are throwing poop bombs at the cops, which is quite nasty.
Yeah. They're not going to report on any of that.
Well, no, it's the globalist Euronews. Go France.
I wish we had a better source for a discussion on this phenomenon.
Well, and that's the problem, is that mainstream news in Europe is just not. You get this report is the same everywhere. There's no mention of it in other places in France. There's no mention of this happening in other
these people, all of them
in other
it's
countries.
The same here. We don't get any. I mean, they glossed over news when they would talk about it here, and they talk about it as a weekend phenomenon. It's like, what are we doing this weekend? Where we're going to put our vests on and
oh yeah, good point. Yeah, it's only in the weekends. Yeah, it's not a big deal. It's like a hobby for them.
Yeah, a little side thing to do. There's nothing else going on in France.
Yeah. Are we being sarcastic?
Lies.
We're being sarcastic now, aren't we? We've got to be careful of that.
No.
Just
we're being sarcastic in the way that I think is dangerous, which is that we're expressing. Well, you did, yeah. That wasn't we then. Yeah. It was you.
Oh, okay. And then I have
what the kind of sarcasm I don't like. By the way, this is only recently, and I had to correct myself on a tweet.
Oh.
Because I was doing it. Which was saying something that's not true.
Oh,
as
right.
True.
Right.
In a sarcastic manner. Thus, you're supposed to, when you hear me,
stop.
That it's not true, and then know that I'm being sarcastic and think it's so funny.
Right.
And so
and believe me, it is.
Well, it is, but not everybody can hear that. And,
right.
And if 1 in 3 persons doesn't have a sense of humor, then it's a disservice to the public.
I have one last piece of news from Europe, and this one's for you, because it is listed as a huge food fraud scandal, which has been uncovered in Italy, involving millions of euros worth of grapes used to make fraudulent balsamic vinegar.
This doesn't surprise me.
Now, balsamic vinegar of Modena is one of these location-protected food items under EU regulations. So, like champagne, I guess. You can't call it champagne unless it comes from Champagne.
Yeah,
so
area.
In this case, it means in order to bear the name, the grapes used in production have to be sourced from these specific spots. But Italian authorities have discovered that table grapes were being used, were being sold to some companies producing the traditional balsamic vinegar. Table grapes, fake grape.
Well, it's real grapes, but they're not the grapes you're supposed to use for this particular product.
Yeah. Now, would you be able to taste it?
This has been going on for years.
Well, it might have been. Are you able to taste the difference? I mean, you are a vinegar aficionado.
Yeah, you can taste it. Well, The problem with balsamic is because the process for making it involves no aging, a little aging, a lot of aging, and then it involves different specific gravities, which is thickness.
Gravity is thickness?
Specific gravity
Mm-hmm.
is pretty much thickness.
Okay.
It's the weight per volume kind of calculation. But anyway, so it can be very thick, and so you can pour it and it comes out kind of like a syrup, or it can be watery like the stuff you buy at Costco.
Ugh.
And so it's not watery, but it's just watery. It's, it's just like the same viscosity of regular vinegar. It doesn't have any of the thickness that you get on a good balsamic.
And thank you for giving us the correct pronunciation. Balsamic. I think I always say balsamic, which is wrong. Balsamic.
I don't really think it's important, but
it is the point.
But I think that because of the variation in the quality and style, I think it'd be very easy to pass off the mediocres using the wrong grapes and making it the traditional way and getting those flavors. I don't think it would be. I think it'd be very difficult to spot.
Right.
To be honest about it.
Well, the scandal is upon us.
I'm gonna have to have some of the scandalous stuff. In fact, you never know.
Scandalous.
It's possible that the scandalous stuff is better.
It could be.
It's always possible. It does happen.
Hey, man, this stuff is actually kicks ass. We like it.
It actually could be better. In fact, if they marketed it differently, I think you'd have some. For example, don't call it balsamic, call it asalmic.
Ooh, nice.
You had B-salmic, try asalmic.
Oh, an exit strategy.
Yeah.
New vinegar. But I have an idea. We could write a book about it. Oh, I'm sorry. What am I thinking?
Yeah.
All right. What you got going on that side of the ocean?
Well, let's start off with listening to Hillary try to speak with the Southern twang.
Wait a minute. This is not from the 80s, is it?
No, it's from like a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, because there's a famous video of her, doing the Southern twang when Bill was running.
She uses it all the time when she goes to churches.
Let's listen.
Said be glad in it. Oh.
Wait, did she say in it? What did she say?
Yeah, something like that.
And then let's get to work. Reverend Green, when those bones get up, and when that spirit is breathed into them, and they start climbing out of that valley, the first place they go is to register to vote. Because, I've heard Corey preach. Oh, yeah.
Oh, brother.
Oh, Mrs. Sewell, you know. I mean, you just get ready.
Now, is that Southern or is that black or is that black Southern?
Kind of black congregational Southern.
I mean, it's cultural appropriation no matter what you call it.
Oh, yeah.
It's just lame. That's like when you go to the UK.
Oh, the churches, people love it.
They do, huh?
Bill did it all the time.
It's interesting because whenever we get an Australian donation and we speak in an Australian accent, the Australians don't love it. Same with the British. They don't really love it.
Better.
They don't love it. So what was this? Is she, this is her I'm not running thing?
No, she's just hanging out, and she's not running, but she's doing a lot of these speeches. It's part of her not running. Now
you're still all in on her swooping in, talons extended, and
she has to.
I don't know, man. Joe Biden seems to be the guy of the moment. It's like everyone's waiting for Joe.
78.
So ageist,
and he's also. Well, it's also that he's. I don't think he's all there. I mean, he's never been.
But he's the one.
Biden's time has come and gone, and Bernie's time has come. They're all come and gone. There's nobody. They have nobody. Sherrod Brown just dropped out.
Yeah,
and I'm going to have to take him off my list because I thought he'd be a possibility.
You had him up there. But what I heard is Sherrod Brown dropped out because he heard the whisper that Biden was going to jump in.
Well, I'm sure Biden is going to jump in, even though he's like waffling. But Sherrod Brown is younger and he's got more on the ball. I don't know. They think they're going to run Biden against Trump. I mean, I think Biden would be good because he could be mean-spirited. I think you have to be that way to run against Trump.
Right.
And I think Elizabeth Warren would have been the best candidate the last go-round, but not this time because now she's embarrassed by her stupid Pocahontas stuff.
I got a note from her. Let me see, where was
she's
this?
also I got a note from her too. She's also backed off on she's on her normal middle of the road moderate policies, and she's gone all in with the Bernie boys.
Yeah. I got where was it? I thought
If she wants you to chip in.
Oh, but I remember what it was. Well, no, here it is. Maybe this isn't it. It was in regard to Manafort sentencing, which, from what I understand, I just saw a couple of bits on CNN International that the left is outraged that he only got 47 months, which is kind of 4 years and not 3 years everyone's talking about, but he got 47 months in this first round of sentencing. And here's Pocahontas' memo to me. And the reason why I get these is because I've sent money to pretty much every political candidate that makes sense, so I'm on all the lists. You can thank me later. Here's a tale of two criminal sentences. Donald Trump's campaign manager, Paul Manafort, committed bank and tax fraud and got sentenced to 47 months. A homeless man, Fate Winslow, helped sell $20 of pot and got life in prison. The words above the Supreme Court say equal justice under the law. When will we start acting like it? And it goes on and on and on and on.
You know, the disingenuousness of this party has become outrageous. That homeless woman story is extremely exaggerated. It's not necessarily true. There's more to it than that. And Manafort's situation is, again, there's more to it. The judge scolded the Justice Department for being for overreach and a number of other issues, and said that because they're the ones who recommended the high sentence, and then 47 months is nothing to sneeze at for a white collar crime.
No, I know someone who went to jail for 48 months and it's ruined his life.
It happens, and so this is just a complete. I mean, they bitch and moan about Trump's populism. This is populism at its worst. You know, where you just appeal to the masses with, simple generalities, and that's what she does. And she's just digging her. She's never going to get this nomination the way she's going. She's got no scruples.
She says, P.S. Paul Manafort might be hoping a presidential pardon can be his get-out-of-jail-free card, but pardons and clemency are supposed to be about granting mercy to the powerless, not immunity for the powerful, and they shouldn't be used to cover up the truth. So let's be clear.
Did she go on and on about Mark Rich after that?
Let's be clear. If I'm elected president, there won't be any pardons for anyone implicated in the investigations around Donald Trump. That's an interesting choice of words. Chip in now to help build our movement. Chip in.
Chip in.
Chip in. Chip in. Yes, chip in now, she says.
Well, her chances are zero. Hillary's really the only real choice.
When she doesn't even show up in any of the polls.
No, they won't do that because nobody wants Hillary to run again because they think she's going to lose. They're convinced of it. And even though my point was in the essay I wrote, which was available, linked in the newsletter, not this last one, but the one before, is that my point is that she never really ran twice. She ran, first of all, she ran for the nomination the first time, lost to Barack.
Mm-hmm.
Second time around, she got further. She ran for the nomination and won.
Right, 3 times a charm.
And lost to Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Hey.
I can see the campaign.
Up,
yes.
Up.
I can see the campaign. 3 times a charm.
Yeah.
It would work.
She's gotten better every time. So,
Wouldn't it be cool if Jussie Smollett got more jail time than Paul Manafort?
Video surveillance and perpetrators turned accomplices had Chicago police peeling back the layers of actor Jussie Smollett's allegation of assault. Court documents released Friday show a grand jury indicted the Empire star on 16 felony counts relating to the January 29th incident, including disorderly conduct. Smollett had previously been charged with a single count of filing a false police report, which carries the possibility of up to 3 years in prison. Smollett denies the allegations. Reuters reached out to his legal and media teams, but neither could be reached for comment.
My goodness. What a story.
This guy. So he was making $100,000 an episode.
I heard 60. Okay, doesn't matter. Something like that.
I heard 100.
In the ballpark.
It could have been 60. He wanted 100.
Yeah. But this ultimately, I think this is really
a dumb idea. This guy's a dummy.
Yeah, but ultimately what he did and how it came out I think is good for race relations. He's actually done a service without really even intending to. Because now people are a little more cautious on all sides of the equation.
Well, that may be true.
I think it's kind of a good thing.
At least in Chicago.
But you got to know that according to the Washington Post, I mean, a third of all Trump supporters are just neo-Nazis. And this was explained.
Where all these people come from? We never were that many neo-Nazis in the country before.
This is WAPO's Zainab Salbi. I think she's an op-ed writer, and she was on Morning Joe.
Well, she's the worst. Competing with the story, when talking to advocates on the ground, an organization called People's First, who are canvassing people in Ohio, in Trump country, basically, and they're saying that they are 1/3 of the people they're canvassing, Trump supporters,
I hear a word of it.
Neo-Nazis. They don't even try to talk to them because it's like done, solved. It's not worth it. But
yeah, it was a shitty recording. Sorry,
at least.
Sorry about that. It didn't sound that bad when I listened to it the first time. Yeah, she says right there that they were canvassing, they were out there searching and trying to talk to people in Trump country, Ohio. She said Trump country, and 1/3 of them are neo-Nazis. And she just keeps on talking. No one interjects. No one says anything.
Just not on that show.
But that's Washington Post.
Yeah, well, that's what they do.
They're supposed to have a higher standard. I know, silly of me, but still.
What are you thinking?
Silly of me.
So let's talk about, I'm now convinced that I got a couple of clips on Venezuela I want to get out of here.
Oh, good. I've got
comparative clips of Venezuela power outage on Democracy Now! And then the story. I cut it a little short on the NBC version, but can we play Venezuela power outage so we can catch up with Venezuela?
In Venezuela, President Nicolas Maduro is blaming the U.S. government for a prolonged power outage that plunged most of the country into darkness Thursday. Maduro says anti-government saboteurs backed by the U.S. took the nation's main hydroelectric power station at the Guri Dam offline. The blackout compounded the misery of Venezuelans already enduring a severe economic crisis amidst crippling U.S.-led sanctions. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo blamed Maduro's government for the outage and threatened regime change in a flurry of tweets, one of which read, "No food, no medicine, now no power, next no Maduro."
She said regime change. I had a clip from Euronews. Let me see. It might be in the beginning. That had Maduro apparently said something different about the power outage. It was still the U.S.'s problem, but not provocateurs. Let me see if it's where it is in this clip.
Residents of the Venezuelan capital Caracas take to the streets to protest as power cuts gripping the country enter their third day. Some participants in this spontaneous demonstration say it's not directed against their president. It's because of the blackout, says this woman, not because of Maduro, not because of anything else. We're here calmly, peacefully, because we want electricity. But others do include politics in their list of grievances. We have a complete lack of services, says this resident. We're tired of not having electricity. We're tired of not having food. We're tired of repression. We're tired of the transport system. All these calamities. President Nicolas Maduro told a rally of supporters that his government is doing everything possible to restore power. But he blamed the worst blackouts in decades on the United States-backed opposition. Attacks of this type are made by the extreme right wing, he said. They are without any doubt the intellectual and material authors of this attack. It used high-level technology that only the United States possesses.
High-level technology. Yeah, secret technology.
There's a switch, Bill. Can you throw it? Did you know that General Electric invented the push-button switch? Did you know that, by the way?
No, I didn't.
Well, it's high-level technology.
Woo! He's insinuating like electromagnetic pulse or something like that. Yeah, of course he is.
That doesn't know what the hell EMP is.
Well, that's why he didn't say EMP, but if you search around, you'll see that that's the conclusion a lot of people are drawing from his statement, is that this was an EMP. But what people forget is that even under Chavez, He was saying, stop showering so much because heating up the water is straining the grid. And they had rolling blackouts all the time. This is not new.
No. Very poorly managed country. Well, let's listen to NBC. So I came away from this clip with the new knowledge that the State Department and the CIA are working together.
Well, aren't they one and the same?
Well, they shouldn't be because they have the different intelligence branches. But
yeah,
it became clear to me that NBC is hanging in there with the CIA, which we think they do, and it's all based on the way this report goes down. I come to this conclusion now, and I'll do the reveal after the end of it.
Crisis in Venezuela with continuing power outages and shortages of basic necessities. Today, anger spilled into the streets of Caracas. NBC's Sarah Harmon has more on the worsening humanitarian crisis.
Murderers, they chant as these opposition protesters clash with riot police amidst escalating violence and a growing humanitarian crisis. Outrage over shortages of food, medicine, and now electricity. Earlier this week, a massive nationwide blackout left most of Venezuela in the dark. For this woman, no power means no respirator. Entire hospitals have gone dark. Embattled President Nicolas Maduro blamed the blackouts on American imperialism, tweeting he vows to fight the brutal aggression against our people, adding, "We will never surrender." U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo blames Maduro for the humanitarian crisis, tweeting on Thursday, "No food, no medicine. Now, no power. Next, no Maduro." The U.S. has slapped sanctions and visa restrictions on key Maduro officials after recognizing opposition leader Juan Guaido as interim president.
Without it, and particularly specifically the sanctions, without the sanctions, it would be impossible for the opposition to move forward.
What are we going to do?
So what I got out of that was the use of the word interim president.
Oh, good point. So they adopted the only NBC, by the way. I've never heard anybody else do it. They all do all kinds of, maybe they're all starting to adopt it, but I didn't hear it anywhere else. Adopt the State Department's recommendation of using interim president. And that is because this is if we can assume the CIA is involved in this, they would have told that was part of some strategy. You have to use this terminology for some propagandistic reason down the road. And NBC just did it. So there you go. So where do you think that takes us? Where do you think it goes? I mean, I have
no idea.
This is just not working.
How important?
Yes,
not working. Important that is.
This is not working.
They want to make it look like it's not a coup.
Well, no, yeah, but how do you do that without it being a coup?
I have no idea. They've never done that. They haven't done this well since I forget. They did this, I think, in the 50s. They may have pulled a few of these stunts and made them work, and they still think they can do it. But I don't know if their strategies are good anymore. It always backfires. I mean, none of this has worked out.
I mean, they never were even able to remove Chavez.
Right, Chavez is when they never. Well, Chavez thinks they finally killed him. That's how they did it.
Yes, well, he went out and said the U.S. gave me cancer.
Yeah,
just to make it more interesting. Well, I find the lack of action concerning because the longer this draws out, the more severe whatever happens is going to be.
Well, it's a rebelizing situation. I don't know. I'm still debating with myself whether the rebelization of the Middle East and now what could be Venezuela next, if they really intend to rebelize, because I think our original theory was that rebelizing these countries, just turning them into, and you see the pictures, anyone can just look at the accumulated photos. Mm-hmm. These countries have to be almost rebuilt from scratch, which is big construction contracts. There's a lot of money in rebuilding someplace.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we always assumed that was behind it all, but they haven't even done anything. It's like really pathetic. It's like they would just rebelize and leave.
Maybe you have to do some kind of some attack, but it can't be a kinetic. It has to be something odd that, the building crumbles on top of him. Can't have an explosion. Well, I know, maybe.
I don't know. They need new blood.
Yes. Well, maybe they can do it with
Space Force.
Yeah, well, maybe they can.
Well, I'll tell you why. Because Space Force, we're arming up. We're getting ready.
A meteor.
We're getting ready for space. There was the NASA administrator, Jim, what's his name? Bridenstine. He was interviewed on NPR. He did calls and stuff, and he's a very animated fellow as he speaks. And he gave a little historical background on Space Force.
So, what about the Space Force? Yeah, a great question. So a couple of things. Number one.
And by the way, we all know. This is Q John.
What?
So,
what about the Space Force?
Yeah, a great question.
Now, if you're quiet, then you'll hear your cue.
So, what about the Space Force?
Yeah, a great question.
Oh, that's not a great question. Let's stop the thing. I know what you're getting me to go on about. I'm not going to scream about this, but what about the Space Force? Oh, that's a great question. How is that in a million years? A great question, which brings me back to the reason I got off in that jag to begin with. I still believe someone somewhere gave a seminar telling you to say thank you. When somebody asks you a question, you always say thank you. If somebody asks you a question in a big auditorium, oh, thank you for that question. Or you can say that's a great question, compliment them on the question. I'm convinced of this, that this was in some seminar somewhere and a bunch of people adopted it.
Regardless, we all agree, it's just not a great question. But we'll listen to the answer no matter what.
So, what about the Space Force?
Yeah, a great question. So a couple of things. Number one, NASA does not do national security or defense. We never have. We never will. That's not in our agenda. We partner with Russia. We partner with other countries, maybe some countries that are not always friendly with the United States. We have at this point partners with over 120 countries on the globe and over 800 different cooperative agreements. So what we don't want to do is we don't want to delve into national security. When NASA was created by Eisenhower, it was intentionally kept separate from the Department of Defense. That being said, and I'm committed to that, just so everybody knows. That being said, when I was in the House of Representatives, we voted on the Space Force numerous times. I voted on it on the Strategic Forces Subcommittee. I voted on it on the Full Armed Services Committee, and I voted on it on the floor of the House of Representatives. It got strong bipartisan support in all of those, and in fact, it got 344 votes in the House of Representatives, which doesn't happen these days, but it happened when we voted on the Space Force as part of the National Defense Authorization Act.
Isn't that interesting? You'd think it was just something Trump dreamed up and everyone just called him a nut job for it.
Space Force.
Yeah. Apparently, this was something that everyone all liked before Trump came along.
Oh, yeah. No, Trump likes it, so it's no good.
Yeah, no good. Now, the guy also said something else, which I had to think about, and it kind of makes sense, but the vulnerability is astronomical, if really true. And the claim here is that GPS, so the actual GPS satellites, that without those GPS satellites in the United States, life as we know it would come to a grinding halt.
It would affect a few things for sure. Farming.
Okay, what else would it affect?
Well, it would affect farming. I think it would affect transportation a little bit, but I think that's correctable. I think just farming is the only thing it would really affect.
Our very way of life has been elevated by space capabilities to the point now where we are dependent on space in a way that most Americans don't understand. The way we communicate, we talk about Dish Network, DirecTV, XM Radio, internet broadband from space. Think about my home state of Oklahoma. A lot of rural folks there. If there's no internet broadband from space, there is no internet for them. When you think about not just how we communicate, how we navigate with GPS, how we produce food. I talked about how we're increasing crop yields right now for certain parts of the United States, eventually all over the world. All of these things are dependent on space. Now, here's what's important to note. Every banking transaction in this country is dependent on a timing signal from GPS. Every banking transaction in this country is dependent on a timing signal from GPS. So if there's no timing signal from GPS, guess what? There's no banking. In other words, there's no milk in your grocery store. That is an existential threat to the United States of America, to the point where China has declared space the American Achilles heel. And they're moving out to deny us the use of space if and when they want to. They've also recognized that timing signal is necessary for the regulation of flows of electricity on the power grid and the regulation of flows of data on the terrestrial wireless networks. We are absolutely dependent on space for our very way of life, and it absolutely must be protected. Okay. So I'm a big advocate for it, but I will also tell you that's not what NASA does, and I'm committed to making sure NASA stays separate from the Department of Defense.
This what you muttered there, yeah, I agree. This sounds like total bullcrap to me.
Well, let's look at it. I mean, here's why there's evidence of it being bullcrap, because of his wordage, the way he said it. He says every. When he says every, they say most. If he said most, that's possible. But he didn't say. They said every banking transaction is dependent on GPS because of time and signal something. But does that mean I go into the bank and I cash a check? Or I go into the bank, I say, I got 520s, can you give me 100? That is a banking transaction in a bank.
Right. So
that's not dependent on anything.
Well, yes, it may be. And I'll
how is
well, if you give me a second, I'll tell you what, because I researched it, I'll tell you what the literature says. The literature says that a precise timestamp is necessary. The claim is that all these financial systems, that's the claim, that all financial systems use a GPS timestamp, because if you, as an example, withdrew $100, you got it right at the bank teller, you could have another John C. Dvorak withdrawing the same amount if the timestamp wasn't exactly accurate. If there's a 2-minute window or second window even, this is not my opinion, then fraud could occur. And they're implying that indeed all financial transaction timestamps are ultimately GPS fed.
Not what he said.
That's
all financial transactions,
right.
Not timestamps.
Right. Okay. But I don't even believe that. It seems so out of the ordinary. And wow, and I don't know how we got to the milk not being delivered, but that's quite, if it's true, which means it was baked.
Milk not delivered.
If it's baked.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. I mean, if it could, I would say that there's probably more dependencies than you and I know about. And I'm sure because they're for the purposes of convenience and ease, because there's other ways of doing these things.
Sure.
It's like ISDN is dead, because there's newer, cheaper ways of doing it. And so but you can always go back to the old systems. It would just take a while. It would be disruptive.
Yeah, I mean, ATMs worked fine before we had all kinds of GPS. I mean, the GPS was there, but I don't think ATMs were hooked up to them back in the day, in the 80s.
And there's still such things as tellers who can hand count money.
Right, but they still, when they hand you the money, there's still a record, an electronic record made.
Yeah.
Anyway,
there's ways around. It doesn't have to be based on GPS.
Oh no, I agree.
Assuming all the clocks are going to stop too.
Well, you know what? You and I are not qualified to answer that question. I think we have dudes named Ben who can.
You have a banker friend. He probably doesn't know either. This is too deep.
Yeah. Well, we have dudes named Ben out there who can inform us. I'm sure we have people working in the financial sector.
We're only using logic.
Well, let me add this to the mix. April 6, 2019 it will have been what is it? I think it's 17 or 19 years, like 1,024 weeks since August 21st, 1999, when older GPS receivers that have older software, they roll over and they start counting again. It's kind of like a Y2K for GPS.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, oh yeah. And there's already some security experts out there saying, well, I'm just not going to fly on April 6th.
Yeah, sure.
Hey, you know what? Why risk it? Neither am I. I'm fine. I only just heard about it. As again, I was researching this. I bump into this article. Like, I didn't know about this. They should make a much bigger deal of this. What an upgrade moment.
They could write books like they did with Y2K. Yes. They can get all kinds of contracts. They can make a bunch of money and then sneak off into the dark.
Yes, exactly. It's a perfect opportunity. But no. Anyway, I would love to hear from our sysadmins in the financial sector and developers who understand this stuff. Let us know. Also about that April 6th.
Yeah, we have 2 points of information that are needed.
Yeah, both regarding GPS.
Action list. Action items. Action items.
Yes, put it in the meeting notes. Yeah, we'll make sure we are you doing the meeting notes?
I've been doing them all along.
Okay, good. Excellent.
And I've been doing them in a very professional manner, which means you take down no notes.
Luckily, I'm not in Austin, although I do miss the Keeper. It's been too long. But South by Southwest is in full swing.
Yeah, and like all your candidate buddies are in town.
Oh my gosh, it's douchebag heaven. Amy Klobuchar,
yeah,
Kamala Harris, Bernie Sanders, John Hickenlooper.
Hickenlooper.
Well, it's a Dutch name. Heckenloper.
Well, how do you pronounce it? What's the real way to pronounce it then?
Well, the way it's spelled is a derivative, but I heard him actually explain it on an interview somewhere. It would be Heckenloper or Heckenspringer even is someone who...
Heckenspringer.
Yeah, Heckenloper. Heckenloper. So runs alongside the hedge to jump over it. Heckenloper, but it's turned into Hickenlooper. Anyway, Beto, of course. Beto. Everybody's there. It's very, very woke right now, Austin. Very woke. And not to be outdone, of course, ever since Twitter was kind of launched at South by, or really became, went viral, Foursquare, who also, I think they were even weren't they before Twitter when Foursquare that was like everyone was
Foursquare the check-in operation.
Yeah. I think that was before Twitter.
It was really almost simultaneous.
I
remember the early days of Twitter because I was just blocking people and kicking them off my feed left and right because their whole Twitter feed was, I've just checked in at McDonald's. Right. I've just checked in at the mobile gas station. And it's just on and on and on. Who cares where you've checked in? It sounds like unless you're a hitman trying to track this guy down. Well, I always thought it was dumb.
Well, Foursquare, which... Yeah, it was launched 10 years ago, 2009, at South by Southwest. They're back, or they've never gone away, but they're back, and they have a new map feature, which gives you a real-time look at how people are spread throughout the city. Each dot represents a different place. The size of each dot corresponds to the number of people at each place, and each color represents a different type of place. And they call it...
Who needs this?
And they call it HyperTrending.
Oh, brother.
I knew I'd get that out of you. HyperTrending. Yeah.
Oh, look at the big brown dot.
Actually, red and blue.
Oh, look at this one. It's just really funny looking. It's big white. No. That was a pigeon, you idiot.
Hyper. I think hyper tracking is maybe more appropriate. HyperTrending. And people just love it. Especially those at South by, they just love it.
Well, I would use it just the opposite because that means the only reason you're going to get that data is because it's going through Foursquare. And so you're just going to go to a place loaded with people using Foursquare, which I would consider a big crowd of douchebags.
Well, actually, apparently their SDK also can receive data from other apps you may have. I'm not sure which ones. Didn't dive into it. So it may actually
but you'd have to have installed their app to get those permissions for them.
Oh no, that's totally not. No, that's not true at all. That's just like the Facebook SDK. Any app can implement the Facebook SDK. You don't even have to have an account. Nuh-uh. No, this is why Tim Apple is so upset about what everyone's doing.
Well, he should put a stop to it then.
Now, why would he do something crazy like that? He has shareholders to think of. He can't be making it.
Well, it's not helping the shareholders. How much money could he be making from doing that?
No, it's he needs the developers to stay on his platform. He needs the surveillance system.
They're already dual platform. Everyone's dual platform is not. No one's going to abandon his platform.
Developers will if he removes the capability to do that. Developers will. That's how the developers make money. Is they sell to Facebook.
Oh, so the developers are the douchebags.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, as long as we know who the douchebags are.
Well, not the actual guys writing the code necessarily, but the companies who create apps and tell the developers what to do. I will protect them. So yes, and so that
I'd walk out and protest.
Yeah, sure.
I refuse to do this. Anyway, so South by, you're missing out.
Oh, sure. Yes, I'm really missing out. Mm-hmm.
The number of people, the politicians that are going to this thing is really, as far as I'm concerned, jumping the shark.
Thank you. That's exactly the term, jumping the shark.
Because it's like, what are these politicos? What you're supposed to go to? A music festival. You get to see all these certain kinds of bands you might want to check out or go see in smaller venues. I don't know.
Well, it's really not even
some tech discussions. Oh, hello, let's talk about tech. And the old thing up on the stage. What do you learn from anyone up on a stage, discussing stuff? Nothing, ever.
It's a propaganda trip. But it's more than just the music festival thing is almost unimportant now. It starts off with southbysouthwest.edu, which is a whole educational conference. It flows right into the Austin Film Festival. Then we have the actual music festival / it's really music / technology festival. So it's a lot. It's just a lot. It's good for Austin. I'm happy, but it's a lot.
I wonder how much money it brings in Austin money.
I think it's relatively little. I mean, for hotels and stuff, sure, but I don't know.
Well, the bars, geez, the places are packed.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's worth all the trouble, is I guess what I'm saying. Now, we want to be a conference town. That's important. That's all. We're like Vegas without the gambling. But people will eventually figure out that once South by is gone.
You don't have a big conference center, do you?
We built a new one.
How big is it?
Well, we I don't know in size, but we have the original conference center. Then we have the JW Marriott Conference Center, which is adjacent to it or right near it. No, and we had the hotel rooms. That was the main thing 8 years ago. Everyone people still rent out their apartments, but it was much more rampant. Dell couldn't even do their annual sales conference in Austin. They didn't have enough hotel rooms.
Huh. So people have to rent their rooms. So it's kind of like what is a C-bid? I think they do that. Some of these places that are just really ill-equipped.
You can make a lot of money in Austin at South by renting out your place. You can do really well.
Huh. Well, what else is going on?
Well, I was hoping you'd have some things.
That was a dud. Hey, I got this. I saw this guy who did a little breakdown on the Young Turks and the
the AOC.
Yeah, you saw Mr. Reagan, that guy.
Well, hold on a second. This is so. I saw this. Everyone starts tweeting. Look, it's proof AOC is a puppet. But
there's no proof of anything.
No, but we played a clip from this 2 months ago.
From Mr. Reagan.
Mr. Reagan.
Yeah, that's the guy that's the personality who rolled this out. He calls himself Mr. Reagan.
Then you're talking about something else. Let's listen to what you have. I have the other.
About. What are you talking about? Whatever you're talking about, I want to hear it.
Okay. So this is a full documentary that the Justice Democrats themselves put together.
Oh yeah.
And
it's not about that.
Oh, okay, good. Well, I'll do this first.
This is about a guy blowing the. First of all, I only have part 2 and 3 of my 3-parter because part 1 I couldn't find. But I'll tell you what part 1 is. Part 1 is this guy's got a big mole on his face, and he calls himself Mr. Reagan, and he does a very kind of a slightly overproduced video podcast like thing. He gets about 1 million views, or 500,000.
This is he plays clips from what I'm talking about.
No.
Okay. I'll shut up. Go ahead. Lead in.
He didn't play any. The only thing he did is he had some videos of the Cortez promotional video, but most of him is he's just talking. He's not playing a lot of clips at all.
Okay.
But he brings out a few new facts I thought would be worth listening to. But let me give you the part where he claims that Cortez was an actress who was auditioned for the job.
Right.
And he can say there's 3 or 4 of these people from these Justice Democrats who he sees as an evil force, even though if you really break down what he's talking about, it might be an evil force, but they're already overextended with just this one woman, let alone the other boneheads that are supposedly Justice Democrats. But I like some of the stuff he's unearthed or uncovered, just some basic backgrounder on this group and what they're up to. He claims they're out to take over the world. They're going to keep running and running people until somehow Chunk is going to be, the king of the United
Young
States,
Turks.
even though he's not involved anymore, but he might still be. But let's play Mr. Reagan on AOC Part 2.
2018 was just the beginning. They'll redouble their efforts in 2020, 2022, 2024, at which time I am 100% convinced that they will run somebody for president. For the 2018 elections, the Justice Democrats endorsed 79 candidates. 26 of them won their primary elections. 7 of them won in the general election and are now in Congress. Most of these people's names I can't even pronounce. Raul Grijalva, Ro Khanna, Ayan Presley, Pramila Jayapal, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Of these 7, 3 were chosen through the audition process and are, as far as I can tell, puppets of the Justice Democrats, Saikat Chakrabarti, and Cenk Uygur. These candidates are Ayan Presley, Rashida Tlaib, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Imagine if they run not 79 candidates, but 200 or 400 or 1,000. At their current rate of success, they would get 88 House seats. And if they improve their techniques, they might get more, including Senate seats.
Just as a point of order, he's racist. I can't even pronounce these names. That's kind of douchey. That's racist. He's
racist.
Yeah.
So he has this thesis, and the reason I like this is because I like the fact that it lines up with my thinking about AOC. And he says that she's so scripted, she doesn't do her own tweets. Everything she does is written for her. And when she goes off script,
then she goes out. True. Just so you know, this is exactly what I was talking about. This is the video I played clips from 2 months ago. Just so you know, this isn't a documentary. It's this guy behind the desk. No, I know, but it's all. If you look at the whole video that he did, because I saw it,
material is what you're saying.
Yes, it's the same. Okay, it's the same basic material.
That.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know that this part 3 then has new material or not, but I didn't know about the
is this where he goes back and forth between what someone on the video says and then shows her saying the same thing?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. Let's see what you got.
Play it.
Cenk Uygur is no longer formally associated with the Justice Democrats or AOC's congressional team, but whether or not he still holds influence over these people is unknown. What is known is that these people are dangerous. Zach Exley is a radical left Open Borders guy who was once a fellow at the Open Borders Foundation, which is George Soros' organization, and he seems to be the least extreme of these guys. Cenk Uygur calls his organization the Young Turks. The Young Turks is named after a group of Turkish revolutionaries formed in 1911 who slaughtered 1.5 million people in the Armenian genocide.
By the way, no one complained when Rod Stewart made a song about it.
So we know where Cenk's influence is at. Saikat Chakrabarti is influenced by this guy, Subhas Chandra Bose. How do we know this? Because he wears this Che Guevara-style shirt with Subhas Chandra Bose's face on it in most of his videos. That seems like a pretty deliberate choice. At first, I actually thought it was his own face. I was like, why is this guy wearing a shirt with his own face on it? That's crazy narcissistic. But then I figured out it was this Subhas guy. So who is Subhas Chandra Bose? He was the violent complement to the non-violent Mahatma Gandhi. Yes, the legendary Gandhi. Whilst Gandhi was trying to expel the British from India non-violently, this guy was like, no, let's start a war and let's kill them all. Actually, it was worse than that. Much, much, much worse. Subhas called himself a socialist, but he is quoted as saying, Our philosophy should be a synthesis between Nazism and communism. Another important thing that we need to recognize about Subhas is that he was an anti-colonialist. Now, we're not super familiar with this political perspective here in the US, but in India, anti-colonialism causes deep resentment to this day. This is explained in the documentary film 2016, Obama's America. In this film, Dinesh D'Souza explains anti-colonialism and shows how these ideas influence Barack Obama because, and this is the scary part, the United States is founded on colonialism. To the anti-colonialist, the U.S. is an evil empire that colonized North America. The United States is the enemy and is to be fought, is to be resisted, torn down. This is the guy that Saikat Chakrabarti, AOC's chief of staff, wears on his t-shirt. A pro-violence, anti-colonial socialist who dreamed of a Nazi communist government. This is the man behind the curtain.
Oh, okay. Well,
so I thought that was new information.
That is yes, that is new information.
Okay,
that's new. So that's the Haas. Who's the idol here?
Subhas Chandra Bose, I think is how you pronounce it.
Huh? Yeah.
And the guy wears his T-shirt with his picture on. This is the Che Guevara T-shirt.
Yes, I've seen
equivalency for India.
Huh. It's interesting because when I saw the video, that I have a little clip of that and I'll play it. I also saw the guy's like, Dad, does he have a shirt of himself on? Is that what? And I didn't. I saw the same thing. Yeah. Huh. Well, that's good. Well, what's his name? Mr. Rogers?
Mr. Reagan. Ronald Reagan.
Mr. Reagan. No, that was good.
He's got a Ronald Reagan cup and it says Mr. Reagan in the corner with a picture of Ronald Reagan.
So what a lot of people have been tweeting about is the video behind it, which, as I said, we were talking about 2 months ago. This is a longer clip than the one I had at the time, and it does confirm a lot of theories that you've had, the Keeper has had, who is adamantly insistent that there's no way she's writing her tweets, and of course she's a marketing professional, so she recognizes this. You recognize that as well. And she was nominated. She was cast like The Bachelor.
Back in 2016, we put out a call for nominations, trying to capture the diversity of background, of experience of the American electorate, the people that aren't currently represented in office. We got over 10,000 nominations. Out of those 10,000 nominations, we found Alexandria.
My brother told me that he had sent my nomination in the summer, but I was like literally working out of a restaurant, and I was like, there's no way.
Her profile is not what you'd think of as someone who should run for office, right?
I grew up with a really politically engaged and attuned family. We always were debating politics, talking about things, but we were never involved in the formal structures of politics.
We saw these signs of someone who's willing to sacrifice their own future for the good of others.
So Izzy, one of the people that was working with us at the time, called, and it was scheduled for 20, 30 minutes, and it went maybe an hour and a half.
Like, you hadn't thought about running for office or anything at that point, right?
No.
You just knew you got to do something.
I knew that I had to do something.
Yeah, we would call people up and kind of walk them through the platform.
She was like, well, would you be open entering this kind of nomination process? And I was like, sure, because that's not a will you run for Congress?
Yeah, we felt the passion in her voice. She really wanted to fight for the big thing, and she got on a bunch of video calls to meet some of the other candidates that at the time were thinking about running.
There were so many other amazing candidates. The entire time I didn't think I was going to be picked. In my brain, I was like, this isn't going to happen, this isn't going to happen, until Izzy called, and she was like, hey, do you want to go to Kentucky in 2 weeks? And I was like, oh.
Oh. Yeah, she was picked. She was nominated by her brother, picked, and then trained in Kentucky.
We invited people to an in-person summit in Kentucky when we started getting serious about who we were going to run.
Well, Kentucky was, I found, at least for me, that was a spiritual experience.
It was a spiritual experience. It was.
What happened was just magic. All these people from all over the country, incredible community leaders, talking about similar problems they all faced, talking to each other, engaging, pumping each other up, pumping us up,
That was like a super pivotal moment, I felt like. I just remember the first day we've created this network of people that put movement first.
Feeling like it was a movement and that it wasn't about me was the most convincing aspect. Being like, oh yeah, I'll do this because it's a bunch of crazy people and this will be fun.
Yeah. Because all of you got into this like movement first, that's defined, your actions since you got elected, right? And everyone else is like, man, this is weird. Why are you doing this weird stuff? Well, it's because you didn't come in. It's a different start. Yeah.
So there you go. I think you are totally right. You call her an idiot, which if you listen to what she's saying, and she's very good at what she does, but she just sucks up the information the Justice Democrat leadership gives her. They write scripts for her. We've seen her reading them. They write the tweets for her. And as Mr. Reagan pointed out, when she goes off script, then she sounds like an idiot. So they try to keep her on script, and it's more like not puppet. It's more like Manchurian Candidate. I don't know. It's like some kind of.
Well, she's not going to assassinate anybody.
Whoa, hold on. You never know. She gets close to people.
Now, this is the media's fault. The media should be making her go off script, because if they're just going to listen to her talking points that are provided to her, and she's she can memorize like anybody.
Yep.
Then they're doing a piss poor job of bringing this out, because she is quite humorous when she goes off script.
Yes.
Now the Democrat Party and Chunk was in part of that, and the other videos talking about how it was that they target other Democrats that seem to be weak. I mean, they're strong Democrats, but they're in places where they're always winning, and it's about time when somebody stepped in. They're pushing established old politicals out of office using this strategy, and I don't know why, but nobody's equated this with what the Tea Party tried to do, especially after they were co-opted by old line conservatives from the South, which ruined the Tea Party, of course, and you don't hear about them much anymore.
Yeah, it was the Ron Paul thing.
Happened to these guys too. I don't think this is Mr. Reagan. I think he's a little bit skittish about it.
Yeah.
But anyway, the point is that the Democrats have to know that they're being picked off.
Yeah.
One after the other, and according to Chunk, it doesn't even matter if they're or I think Mr. Reagan kind of talked about this. If there's a socialist representative that is in line with all their beliefs and everything they want to vote for, but they're not part of the Justice Democrat model.
No, they don't count.
Go after them too.
Yes,
because they want to just get their people in. The Democrats have to know this. What is Nancy Pelosi doing about this? This is a huge threat to the party.
I don't think she's put all the pieces together yet. I looked at the
How dumb is she? She's not that dumb. We know that. She's incredibly smart, and she's manipulative, and she knows what's going on. She has to know what's going on. I'm not buying that.
Well, I'm just telling you, when I looked at the Justice Democrats, and you look at they're a 501. I think 501(c). I'm not sure. Well, anyway, they're a nonprofit, and they have about $2 million reported. So that means you can't run this operation on $2 million. I just don't believe that. I mean, you get a lot with an AOC with free media.
Like the guy said, one of their main guys is an old Soros associate.
That's my point. So So is that because Soros has his hand in everybody's is pouring money into everybody's pocket? Like, shut up, let me do this side. I got a side hustle over here. Nancy, I'll give you some more. I'm sure they talk. They must talk.
I doubt it.
George and Nancy.
I don't think so.
But if not, then I agree. This is very dangerous to the Democrat Party. At least the established order. Well, I have some clips to play about some more of these candidates. But first, I would like to thank you for your courage and say in the morning to you, John C., the man who put the C in Code Orange, Dvorak.
In the morning to you, Mr. Adam Curry. Also in the morning, all chefs and sea boots on the ground, feet in the air, subs in the water, all the dames and knights out there.
In the morning to our trolls in the troll room, noagendastream.com. You can listen live every single Thursday and Sunday morning. You may miss the first hour if you didn't set your clock back, which is only what the elites in the United States have been forced to do. It hasn't happened here yet. And you can, again, listen to it live, chat along, throw out some one-liners. And I'd also like to say in the morning to Darren O'Neill, his second in a row. He did the last show's artwork, and as well as the one before that. The artwork for episode 1118, Birth Strike, was the cardboard box. That was relevant to the show. I can't really remember why.
Because you talk about a car. You were describing a car.
Ah, yes, the cardboard box car. Yes, from the electric vehicle that wasn't a vehicle. It was just an object. That's right. Yes, we did like this. It was the only one we liked, I think.
Yeah, we were having trouble.
Of the bunch, yes.
Well, we have a bunch of executive and associate executive producers after that newsletter.
Just a reminder, noagendaartgenerator.com.
Weren't you supposed to thank the oh, okay. Because I remember yeah, okay. The show before was also, you missed
yes, that was Darren O'Neill. It was him, okay, so it's been him twice, by coincidence.
Okay, we start off with Sir James Spitzer, 34567, from Jamaica Plains, Massachusetts. Or Jamaica Plain, Massachusetts, I believe. It says, see separate email. It must be in your box because it's not in my... it says to add him addressed to you.
Yes, it is, and it's not a happy email.
Oh, he's unhappy?
You don't even want to make the joke. Adam, you passed on a link. FY, since it's your wheelhouse. I would like... here we go. A little update. This is from Sir James Spitzer. He's a baron. 14 years after my initial diagnosis of aggressive prostate cancer, I'm approaching the finish line. I'm fortunate to have access to very good hospice program as I transition from therapeutic care, chemo, radiation, and drugs, to palliative care, which is for pain control and home nursing support. As a part of getting my affairs in order exercise, I've terminated my monthly financial support for charities as well as several podcasters, including No Agenda, that I have valued. My husband has his own set of people and programs that he supports, and I choose not to saddle him with the expectation to continue to contribute to mine. I am sending a final contribution your way with an F-Cancer request and a dose of karma. Best wishes to you and John as you navigate the future. I really hated receiving this. I got it on Friday. And Sir Jim has been a supporter of the show. I've met him. He's been a supporter of the show for a very long time. And I'm saying, Jim, I'm not saying goodbye. I'm just saying, see you around. And you never know. You know, maybe, or next dimension. But it's, I did not feel good about this email. So we want to thank him for his support and wish, I'm going to give you an F-Cancer, Jim.
You've got karma.
Eric Miller, 33333. Dear John and Adam, monthly donor here. And after doing some accounting, I realized I reached knighthood sometime last November.
Oh.
Please call me Sir Eric of the Norwalk Archipelago. By the way, John, Jakemans is A+ recommendation.
What's Jakemans?
Jakemans lozenges.
Oh, I need to try these myself.
Established in, it looks 1970. What's the date on this?
Are you sucking on one right now?
Throat and chest. I know. Boston, England in 1907 is where they come from. Made in Boston for 100. I had to take one early in the show because I was gravelly and it was coughing.
So that's what the lip smacking was all about. Okay, I got it.
This stuff was this stuff's great. Unfortunately, I believe I got mine at Grocery Outlet, and so I'm going to have to figure out some other way of getting it because they never have anything for more than once.
No.
Anyway, No Agenda. Come for the product recommendations and stay for the media deconstruction.
and such.
And such. Keep up the awesome work. No jingles, no karma.
All right, Eric. I'll see you at the round table. Looking forward to it.
Ann Feigl Johnston, 33333. Yes, the sad puppy worked. This is my second producer level donation. Keep up the great M5AM deconstruction. Please play a little goat karma. Thanks again.
And Ann is referring to the newsletter. If you did not see the sad puppy, then you need to subscribe to the newsletter. You can subscribe. There's a link on every show notes page and a show notes.
At the bottom on the left.
Or noagendashow.com. Goat karma.
You've got karma.
Armis Salems.
I think it's Arnis.
Arnis. I'm sorry. That R in my font.
Arnis Selmans.
Arnis Selmans. My font on my spreadsheet. The R.
Yeah, it's running. I see it.
Bump right into the, and I'm back a mile when I'm reading this. 333 Tallinn, Estonia. I think that's Estonia.
Oh yeah, I was wondering where that was. I think it is Estonia.
Yeah, I believe so. They're one of the highest tech communities in the world, by the way. Jobs karma.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
As an aside, because you said they got a big tech community. So I was in Rotterdam for the past 2 days. Not only do they have an interesting and very vibrant and growing tech community, I would go so far as to say, if you visit the Netherlands and you land at Schiphol Airport, you want to know where to go, get on the Intercity Direct, 20 minutes, go to Rotterdam. You'll enjoy it a lot more than Amsterdam. The architecture, the just everything is outstanding. Christina took me out around and it's just as cool. People, eating, drinking outside. There's all kinds of restaurants. Just amazingly interesting and very world famous architecture. It's better than Amsterdam. Sorry, I had to say it.
Well, the architecture, though, you're talking about the more modern buildings.
Yeah. Oh, very modern. Yeah.
Yeah. If you go to Rotterdam, is a huge difference than Amsterdam.
Completely different. Yeah.
It's really more jumping. It's the real commerce center.
It is. Yep.
And Amsterdam is more of a touristy place.
Amsterdam is just a bunch of Brits going to see the red light district and puke. That's all that it is. It's my opinion.
Well, there's an element of that. Yes, this is true from my experience.
Yeah. See, you know what's up.
Jonathan Greenlee, 332.9. This reminds me of a story, but I'll pass on it. Jonathan Greenlee, 332.99. He's in the United States somewhere. The last show was excellent, and you deserve the surplus of value I enjoyed from it. I had a realization during the last show. You guys almost got there yourselves, but I wanted to put a nice ribbon around it and lay it out there. A true progressive. This is this guy.
Here we go.
This is a funny bit. This is a bit.
Oh, it's a bit. Okay, good.
I believe it's a bit, and it's a good one. A true progressive concerned with man-made climate change via CO2 emissions should not encourage migration into the country from poorer countries via any means, legally or illegally. People come to America to adopt a richer, more opportune-prone American way of life with our high level of infrastructure and heady culture of consumption. No one is going to come here just to sit in a shack in the woods. Well, some may end up that way by misfortune, but it's not the intent. In 2014, the United States emitted 16.5 tons of CO2 per capita. Mexico emitted only 3.9, Guatemala 1.2, and Honduras 1.1
They're bringing that
of CO2.
They're bringing that dirty climate change
per capita. These are a mere shadow of the U.S. level. Encouraging immigration from these countries is encouraging increased U.S. style of consumption and an increase in global CO2. If 66,450 illegal crossing attempts intercepted in February 2019 has not been stopped, we would have expected CO2 of at least 800,000 tons per year, every year, not including future offspring. That 1 month's worth of attempted immigrants would have produced the same amount of CO2 as an additional 1,757s flying one way from New York to L.A. once a month, every month. Therefore, I call for an immediate resolution in the House of Pelosi to denounce illegal immigration. AOC, don't eat me, please. 2 to the head, and Pelosi, jobs, because she has work to do.
Don't eat me, AOC! Jobs, and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
That was a good bit. It's a good bit.
It was a good bit, and there's actually some logic to it. I think I think the point could be made if you just have something thrown at you.
Yeah, but it's not like the borders of the United States. It's where CO2 stops. It's still around the globe. It doesn't increase. Oh, I guess it does because they're eating more and making. Yeah, I guess it does. Yeah. Stay away.
Sir Crash EMT is here. Hooray. 314-19 in Holly Springs, North Carolina. Sir Crash EMT here. Saw the bat signal from John. I was saving this for Thursday, 314-19, for a little pie action. And by the way, this is true.
It's
on
Pi
Thursday
Day.
is Pi Day.
Pi Day. Oh, my goodness. Thanks for the reminder.
It's very rare that Pi Day, which is 3.14, in this case, 3.1419, but it's not quite right, but close enough. On Pi Day,
that we have a show.
We have a show. It's very rare. And so we're going to celebrate Pi Day.
Hell yeah.
With some pie action. Hopefully this will help inspire a special donation amount for Pi Day and shake out some value for you guys. By my accounting, this lets me cross the threshold for Barron. He needs an upgrade.
Oh, that's not on my list. Hold on a second. Sir Crash EMT.
If I may, I would like to claim the protectorate of Holly Springs and Fuquay-Varina. I think that's how you pronounce it. Or Fuqua. No, it's Fuqua. Fuquay. It's got to be Fuquay. Fuquay-Varina. Here in the free state of North Carolina. Esse quam vident. To be rather than to seem. Cicero.
All right,
no jingles, no commerce. I'm sure we're all a little in need of it in these ridiculous times. Although a shout out to my brother from another mother, Dr. Red, and to the pilot I bumped into at CLT while I was sporting my, what's CLT? Which one's that? Airport. No?
I really don't know. I should know. I think I should know.
I bumped into a pilot at CLT while I was sporting my No Agenda t-shirt last Monday, hitting them in the mouth where I can, fellas. ITM.
Charlotte.
Okay, so he's on the list for an upgrade.
It's Charlotte.
Charlotte. Okay.
Yeah, Charlotte. Thank you, Troll Room. Sure, Troll Room's there. How many pilots do we have?
Probably a few.
Good.
Oh, and here's Baron Dirty Dick Bangs of D.C. Or is it Dirty Dick Bang? Baron Dirty Dick Bangs. I think that's how it's supposed to be pronounced. 300. Saw the Beagle. Had to put out our beloved Beagle buck down 2 years ago, and this in his honor. And in case you both deserve it, you'll always get an associate credit from me when the Beagle shows up. The Beagle. Rundown. Happy birthday to my 2-year-old Archer Campbell Bangs. He and his 3-year-old brother Barrett always ask for No Agenda or John and Adam on the way to school.
Hey.
It was John and Adam.
You know, but no, you know why? You know why? Because they love the jingles.
They do.
Yeah,
they do.
Of course they do. Let me give them a goat scream. Hey, kids.
The kids got a kick out of that. On the way to school, Mommy's frontal cortex is shrunken, so their requests always get an eye roll. Can you guys make my protectorate official? DC. I don't see it on the peerage map.
Who maintains the peerage map?
I don't know. That's the problem. We have our third baby boy coming out on 426. Ooh. So I would love. By the way, the peerage map needs some sort of. The problem with the peerage map. There's so many people in certain concentrated areas that you can't get to them. You can't click deep enough.
Oh, right. Well, we got to find out who's maintaining that.
Yeah. Well, can you guys make my protectorate official?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. We have our third baby boy coming on 426, so we'd love a human resource karma. New jobs karma. No need to read this, John. And let me see what he says.
About quantum computing.
Would love my thoughts on quantum computing. Okay, I do want to mention that. I'll mention it quickly. I'm very skeptical about quantum computing. It's theoretically interesting, but there's 2 or 3 companies that have shown devices, and no one's ever been able to get them to do anything. They cost a lot of money. So I called one of my friends, who was the science writer and tech writer for the New York Times, John Markoff.
Right.
Who covered this quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And so I asked them specifically, I said, I'm reading over this because I'm reading some press notice, and it just sounds like a hoax. It just sounds like bull crap. It just doesn't make any sense. And so I'm thinking that this sounds like a hoax to me. I sent it to him. I said, tell me that there's something to this. You've been covering it specifically. I haven't, because I'm a personal computer level guy. I don't talk about stuff like this necessarily. He says he can't. He's beside himself. He doesn't know if it's a complete hoax or not. He can't tell. So that's what I think.
So you think it's a hoax, and we have?
I think I think it's a well-meaning hoax. I don't think it's meant to be a hoax. I think it's like they're in over their heads.
What is the promise of quantum computing? What is it supposed to deliver on?
There's your question. The promise is the promise.
Oh, is that a great question?
That's a great question. The promise is a promise. It's the promise of quantum computing where you can do calculations you couldn't have done before. It's a whole new way of doing math because there's a third state. I mean, and it's supposed to be, and it's small and powerful. I mean, it's just a lot of promises. And no one's ever gotten one of these things to work. And everyone talks about it because it's someone's got the gift of gab in there somewhere, and they've convinced people that, yeah, there's something to it. But
this stuff would move along a lot quicker if you told people the porn would get better.
I don't even know how you can do that.
It doesn't matter. He wants.
I know the joke, but I just don't. I mean, yeah, you're probably right, but I don't know how you can do it. Anyway, so that's what I thought. That's a minor thought on quantum computing. I don't know what I'm talking about.
And
nobody else does either.
He's requesting new human resource karma and some new jobs karma.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
Jeff Coleman in Winona, Minnesota, 25872. You can queue up. You can read those yourself.
I got it. It's all cute.
This donation puts me at the 60% to knighthood level. Not too bad considering I've only listened for 2 years and I make dick for wages. I love the show and hope it continues for many years. I missed the Des Moines meetup because of an illness caught while traveling the week before to Colorado to visit Sir Jason Lane, Black Knight, and his new human resource. Hopefully, there's another meetup in the Midwest this year. Well, it won't be in the cold.
No.
I'd like to plug defendgavin.com. It's the legal defense fund for Gavin McGinnis, as he sues the Southern Poverty Law Center for defamation. I'm not a Proud Boy, but the SPLC is a radical leftist group that is out of control. There's a lot of people that agree with you on that.
I agree.
McGinnis has also been deplatformed and silenced. Please call out Ronald Lane as a douchebag. Ron has picked up the slack of breeding for the delusional birth protesters, but I know that guy can spend less on candy bars and donate. Chip in, guy.
I like that. Chip in, guy. We should use that.
Chip in
guy. Here's the long
jingler might be able to come up with something.
Here's the long Manning Kellyanne Conway Jungle Fever clip by request.
I meant to make this announcement. Please forgive me for being so tardy in bringing forth this announcement. Remember Kellyanne Conway on the sofa there in the Oval Office with 100 black men standing around her, and she got in her money-making position. Shake your money maker. She got that money. That's a sure enough money shot. Woo, Jesus. Woo, Lord. Look at that. That's a money shot. Kellyanne Conway is a money shot. But I forgot to inform you that the reason why she got into that money shot without being asked is that Kellyanne Conway has got jungle fever. She couldn't stand herself. Jungle fever, jungle fever, jungle fever. Jungle, fever, Kellyanne Conway.
Oh man, I miss him. Even old material from Reverend Manning is genius. He's still making content. We haven't had anything good from him.
We don't get it. We're not looking at it, I guess.
Yeah,
we'll start checking it out again. There must be some stuff in there.
He's so good.
For Joy Boy maybe, 250. He will be one of the associate executive producers along with Jeff. Damn you, sad puppy. Thank you for your courage and ITM, John and Adam. Sorry I've been such a douchebag lately. Please accept this humble donation for the best podcast in the universe, NJNK. Your humble knight, Sir J-Boy.
Thank you, Sir J-Boy. It's appreciated.
Crystal Culpa, $250, parts unknown. This donation is on behalf of my smoking hot husband, David Culpa. Myself and our 2 human resources love him and thank him for everything he does. We love your show and listen faithfully. We try to hit people in the mouth as often as possible, but the unfortunate truth is we are surrounded by Floridians. So she's in Florida. As a suggestion for a meetup, Florida has great weather. Mm-hmm. This is true. Requesting travel karma for our first trip to Vegas, baby. Love the show. Keep up the fantastic job.
I've said I like Florida as an option. The keeper loves Florida for a meetup. We'll go. We just have to choose where. It's kind of a big state.
Yeah, it's actually got 3 sections.
It kind of has.
Plus the middle, which is Orlando.
Maybe you need a Floridiate tour.
Yeah, well, maybe.
Okay. Here's Jeremy. Cancer. Cancer. Oh. Sorry. Karma she wanted. Karma for Vegas, baby.
You've got karma.
Vegas,
baby.
Got some notes I got to grab. That was Crystal. Okay, Jeremy Cartwright, 222.22. And he says, hard to put down my dog banjo recently. Cancer. Sad puppy is sad, so I clicked. Cough it up, you deadbeat douchebags. Request dogs are people too. I want some cancer karma.
Oh, I missed that one. Hold on. Dogs are people too. Yes, sorry. Where are they? I'm sorry. Where's the dogs? I got dogs around here. Yes, here we are.
Dogs are people too.
You've got karma.
Okay, onward to, as I do try to do 2 or 3 things at the same time.
David
Fugazotto. 203-45 ITM is all he has to say.
Thank you very much.
Adam Barrett. And what I was doing here is I'm looking to see if I have an Adam Barrett email, which would be down at the bottom of the squirrel mail. And this is interesting. I didn't realize how many of these newsletters that Don Barrett, who sends out a newsletter about Los Angeles radio, I've accumulated. I have nothing from Adam.
I have nothing either. Maybe it's just a happy-go-lucky donation. He's just happy.
Could be.
Notice he did 201, perhaps thinking if the donations were low, see sad puppy, that he might get kicked up to an executive producer by being $1 more than the associates.
That's a good trick.
That's what I think was happening there. But it doesn't matter. We appreciate
if Adam has something to say, he'll send us a note. Great. Sadguru.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what it's become. Sadguru. And he comes in with the 200. And he says, if you are constantly aware of your mortal nature, you will only do what truly matters to you.
It seems to be. Is that one of his quotes?
Or maybe there's somebody. There may be a famous guru by this name.
Well, I like it.
Of them.
I like it.
Black Knight Era Dadarian, who we haven't heard from for a while. I might add. 200. Thank you for an outstanding product. Would love an Orange County meetup someday. No jingles, no karma. Okay, we'll do one. James Von Aken in Temple, Texas. This is interesting. ITM, gents, I finally crossed the threshold of knighthood, and with this donation, I got to meet Adam, Tina the Keeper, and all the human resources in the meetup in Austin last Saturday. Tina is definitely a keeper. Thank you so much for an entertaining and informative show. I'm glad to be a producer of it. Please knight me, Sir Jim Bob. I'd like a reverend whoop it if possible, and a brisket and beer for the round table. Brisket and beer.
Okay, I got that.
Counting to follow.
All right. So, well, Jim, this is going to be great. I will see you at the round table.
Get out there, whooping with the Constitution. Down.
Boom.
We got another one here that I didn't read. Did I? No. And it's not on the list, and I'm going to have to find out why. Maybe I didn't send it. But we got a $200 donation from girl Kyle in Sacramento. And I want to read her note. That's $200. I've been listening for 2+ years without doing my part, so please accept this long overdue donation. Consider it back pay for value calculated loosely on what I have spent on monthly NPR subscriptions for the same time period. Going forward, I will cancel the said NPR subscription and will instead support my No Agenda people, even though you won't give me a tote bag.
Wait. We can give you an invisible No Agenda hat.
Okay, it's in the mail. My husband is a musician, and she's got his name, and since she didn't give really her name in the note, I don't know if I should mention him, but he's like a major guy.
Oh, really? Like what? In popular music or classical?
Yeah.
Really?
He was on the Black Crowes, for example.
Oh, okay. For example, wow.
And even though he's prolific with 8 albums of original music, no one buys records anymore, so he makes his living on the road with live shows.
I've seen him in Austin, actually, I think.
It finally dawned on me that not contributing to No Agenda is the equivalent of not supporting your favorite musicians, and a world without music or podcasts would be a real bummer. Thank you for the show, and please keep it up. May I request a WTC7 and an Obama no Addams Family style. I don't know if you can access that.
Let me see.
And then I got a last thing to read. She has a PS. I think she wants to be read. Girl Kyle in Sacramento. Okay. Although I don't know him, please tell Sir Rutherford the Brave that as a Fish fan, I appreciate the name. If I ever make it to the round table, I'll be Dame Girl Kyle of Gamehenge. He'll get it.
WTC7 won't go away.
Okay, you know what? No. What? Listen, you're in my house, drinking the booze. No. Shame on you.
You've got karma.
Classic.
I forgot all about that one.
Me too.
James Von. Did I do James?
Yeah, you did James. We're on to the last one, John.
Sorry. John Grumling is our last donor. Annual tax refund donation. Last year's smoking hot girlfriend karma didn't work out so well. So this year I'll pass along any karma to someone else who might benefit. Maybe Adam can use it for his upcoming nuptials and house hunt.
Oh, well, the house hunt is over. We're good. So it works. It worked. Thank you. We'll just give it for everybody else who needs it. Thank you very much, John.
You've got karma.
Yes, the house hunt worked.
And that's our group of producers and executive producers for show
1119.
1119.
Thank you all so very much. These are very important credits. No, what was the term you used in the newsletter?
I don't know.
I even sent you a note about it.
Oh, yeah. You count.
You count.
You matter.
You matter. That's what it was. Yes, and that's true. You do matter.
I put that in the newsletter.
Yes, you do matter.
They do. They matter.
They matter.
They matter. That's it. There's nothing else.
You matter. That's it. We're done. You matter. But also, because you matter and because you supported the show, all of you get an executive producer and or a associate executive producer credit. And you can use these anywhere credits are recognized. And they are very important, and they do make a difference. And thank you for supporting our value for value model. More people to thank in our second donation segment. And another show for you. I'll be back in Austin. Pi Day. You can support us at Dvorak.org/NA. Now that you know all about the GPS, Armageddon, and Space Force, go out and propagate.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Friday. Friday is a big, big day. Friday, March 15th. Climate strike. All children of the world are going to strike and be truants and leave school. Strike for climate change. This is spearheaded by, I think pretty much still recognized as the figurehead of the current child climate movement, Greta Thunberg. She is is she now 15 or 13?
I think she's 15. She might
15
be 13.
now.
I don't remember. When you see her, and I just saw her recently.
She looks 11.
She
really.
looks 11.
Yeah.
She looks 11. Yes.
So she was interviewed for a Swedish publication in English. Nicely enough, one of our producers sent that along. I pulled a couple of quick clips here. Here she is promoting, of course, the climate strike on the 15th. That is this coming Friday.
What's happening next Friday? Next Friday, March 15th, there's going to be, the school strike is going even bigger than it is now. There's going to be hundreds of thousands of children who are, or more, that is going to be striking for the climate. It's like a big global international school strike, so I'm very excited for that. And I think it's incredible that the school strike has spread it so far and so fast. That is very hopeful, I think. For now, there has been hundreds of thousands of school children school striking for the climate and saying that why should we study for a future we might not have?
There you go. Why should we study for a future we may not have? Yes, this is the child abuse that's taking place. Her background is very interesting, fits right in. If you look what her parents do, they're academics and they're involved in all kinds of arts and sciences. And they clearly have programmed this young child to be the figurehead. And it's worked so well, she just won a very prestigious award.
You've been chosen Woman of the Year. What does it mean to you?
It's always great when you're 15, you look 11, Woman of the Year.
You've been chosen Woman of the Year. What does it mean to you?
I think it's unbelievable. It's incredible. I never would have imagined this. And also I think it's very hopeful that a climate person is elected to be this.
Now here's
for encouraging truancy.
Yes.
She gets Woman of the Year. Really?
Yep. Yes. Well, she's done more than just encourage truancy, but this is it's definitely the cherry on top. Now here's the part that saddened me a lot. She was not always this outspoken, well-spoken climate person, as she would call herself, or Woman of the Year. In fact, she was very, very depressed. And you can only imagine why.
You have 270,000 followers on Twitter, but your life hasn't been like this your whole life. Tell us what it was like when you were 11.
When I was 11, I became ill. I fell into a depression. And I stopped eating and I stopped talking because I was so depressed, and I stopped going to school. And it was a very hard time for me. And it was among the biggest cause of my depression was the climate crisis, because I thought that everything is just so wrong, and I became so depressed. And I thought that there's no meaning to live and like that. And so I became very depressed, and then how I got out of that depression was that I thought to myself, there is so much to live for, I can do so much good with my life, and I'm going to use my life to try to make a difference, and I try to do that still.
So politicians, if you think it has no effect what you're doing, how you are putting fear into young children's minds, this is the result. Now, she got lucky. Her parents pulled her out, turned her into some kind of symbol of this. It may not even be true. I don't know. I mean, but why would I doubt her? But that's pretty severe. If this is happening to 11-year-old kids that are going into depression, don't want to eat, don't want to go to school because of the climate, should you really be fear-mongering the way you are? I find this disturbing. And it's
very disturbing. You're completely right about this.
Here's an interesting note from Nicholas, who attends Notre Dame. I heard your recent discussion on climate change believers deciding not to have children. I had an experience the other day which included this topic. My philosophy class has weekly discussion meetings in small groups. last Wednesday, the debate topic between two groups of students was, "You should not have children." The support side argued that because of climate change, you should not bring children into the world. They said the only way for the Earth to survive is for us to leave. Even better, we poll before and after the debates to see if our minds have changed. Guess what? Over 50% of the class changed their minds that you should reconsider having children due to climate change. Adam and John, the brainwashing is everywhere. I'll keep you updated if I see anything else. Thank you for your courage, producer Nicholas. Yeah, this is what's happening. It's Notre Dame. Isn't that like an Ivy League school?
Well, it depends. No.
Okay.
No,
All
Ivy
right.
League's at the Ivy League. Notre Dame is not an Ivy League school.
It's not a shitty
it's
school.
An elite school.
It's an elite school, yeah. Well, that's good. We'll take him out of the gene pool. Actually, it's a plus.
Yeah, take yourself out of the gene pool, you idiots.
Net, it's a plus.
Because you're dumb.
Yeah.
That's the reason you're not propagating. I got a note from Mac Dingle.
Okay.
He's down the border. He lives on the border, Texas. I want to confirm that people have crossed the river in between Eagle Pass, my hometown, and Del Rio, Texas, my entire life. Ranchers know this problem all too well. We'd go fishing on the riverbanks at friends' ranches and always run into empty trash bags that once held a dry change of clothes. There is no wall, just an insanely dangerous river. It is essentially a moat. A cousin of mine worked for a guy picking up groups of illegal aliens at the border and dropping them off at a local motel. Not sure what happens after that, but I'm sure you can fill in the blanks. Tons of things like that going on at the border. There you go.
I was going to ask you, I was going to make a point that someone made the other day. With this warming or cooling, whatever, climate change, ultimately it's about whatever is happening to the climate, it's affecting the temperature, and that is what will kill people, right? Because that will cause all kinds of horrible follow-on effects.
And as one of the clips that we played some time ago pointed out, no one has ever taken a look at the climate from is it possible that this is a positive thing?
Well, here's my question. What is the ideal temperature for the Earth? I mean, is there an ideal temperature for Amsterdam versus Rotterdam? There's differences. One's a little warmer than the other.
Yeah.
Is there an ideal temperature for Texas? Is there an ideal temperature for the North Pole? It would be good to know. Is there, or at ideal now? Okay.
Put a thermometer in San Diego. That's it.
Why do you say?
Because that's the best climate I've ever been in.
Yeah, but you can't have all kinds of things you can't have everything of the world if it's all the same temperature.
You're asking a hypothetical question. I'm giving you a bullcrap answer.
Yes. Thank you. It's appreciated. It worked perfectly. I made a mistake on the previous episode, and it's because I had watched a video, and our knights in Israel got all freaked out when I said Jews are represented represent 3% of the population of America. And what came out of my mouth was, but they're 60% representation in Congress, to which our Israeli knights went, holy crap, the Nazis have really done a number on Adam. What I meant to say is 60% of them are influenced by AIPAC in Congress, which it may have declined a little bit recently, but it may also represent America's feelings in general about Israel. I don't know. But this whole thing comes in this backdrop of the horrible anti-Semitic things that Elon Omar, also a freshman in Congress, what she said. And, I don't know if it was just me, if it was just over here, if it was just CNN International, but they really would only talk about the horrible things she said without actually mentioning what she said. And they just show a B-roll of a video of her sitting on a panel and what looks like an alley in Mardi Gras. It's a very, very odd video. And then I went searching for what she actually said. But first, let's play Nancy Pelosi, who, we were talking about her earlier, how she's not grabbing onto these Justice Democrats. She apologized, or was I would say she was apologetic and protective of what Elon said. Whatever Elon said, here's how Nancy Pelosi kind of swept it under the carpet.
Does she apologize? To that end. She hasn't apologized. Does she need to apologize?
Well, she may need to explain that she did not. It's up to her to explain, but I do not believe that she understood the full weight of the words. As I say, when you're an advocate out there, as I was, so I appreciate all the enthusiasm that comes into our Congress. I told you that before. That was me pushing a stroller and carrying those signs. So I understand how advocates come in with their enthusiasms. But when you cross that threshold into Congress, your words weigh much more than when you're shouting at somebody outside. And I feel confident that her words were not based on any anti-Semitic attitude, but that she didn't have a full appreciation of how they landed on other people, where these words have a history and a cultural impact that may have been unknown to her.
So what Nancy said, which is actually a really apologetic for anti-Semitism, if that's indeed what it was, by saying, well, she really just didn't understand the impact it would have on certain people from a cultural background. That sounds really bullcrappy to me, but we only on the No Agenda show can we do something that the mainstream media will not. And I've chopped this down. I've chopped out the pauses. But let us just listen to the incredibly offensive speech from Ilhan Omar, and let's stop.
Are you being sarcastic?
No, I'm being factual as to what people said. This is how they were talking. The incredibly offensive speech from Ilhan Omar. I can't, because what I'm saying is I'd like us to listen together to determine if it was indeed incredibly anti-Semitic. And I think it takes both of us to analyze this.
Okay, go.
The dehumanization and the silencing of a particular pain and suffering of people should not be okay and normal. And you can't be in the practice of humanizing and uplifting the suffering of one if you're not willing to do that for everyone.
Okay, so far nothing.
So for me, I know that when I hear, right, my Jewish constituents or friends or colleagues speak about Palestinians who don't want safety or Palestinians who aren't deserving, I stay focused on that the actual debate about what that process should look like. I never go in the dark place of saying, here's a Jewish person, they're talking about Palestinians are Muslim, maybe they're Islamophobic. I never allow myself to go there because I don't have to. And what I am fearful of is that because Rashida and I are Muslim, that a lot of our Jewish colleagues, a lot of our constituents, a lot of our allies go to thinking that everything we say about Israel to be an anti-Semitic because we are Muslim.
So just checking in. So what she's saying is that she's actually extremely aware, it's kind of funny that she said this, that whenever she has a lot of Jewish constituents in her district, she's extremely aware of what she says, in particular when talking about something like Palestinians or Palestine. She has to be very careful because she knows that she's very quickly labeled anti-Semitic because her criticism comes from someone who is Muslim. Is there any anti-Semitism here yet?
No,
I don't think so either. Okay, we'll continue.
And so to me, it's something that becomes designed to end the debate, because you get in this space of, yes, right, like I know what intolerance looks like, and I'm sensitive when someone says the words you use, Ilhan, are resemblance of intolerance. And I am cautious of that, and I feel pained by that. But it almost as if every single time we say something, regardless of what it is we say, that is supposed to be about foreign policy, our engagement, our advocacy about ending oppression, or the freeing of every human life and wanting dignity, we get to be labeled in something, and that ends the discussion because we end up defending that, and nobody ever gets to have the broader debate of what is happening with Palestine.
Okay, so she's saying that she knows that these people are actually good people, the ones, her colleagues, who may call her anti-Semitic because they do care about suffering around the world. But then she brings in the suffering of the Palestinians. And I haven't heard anything anti-Semitic yet, but this next bit...
Well, before you continue with this is all after the fact.
No, this is
that she gave.
No, this is the most... No, you're wrong. This is the most recent one.
This was the timeline was, you got the timeline, that there's a timeline here. She was making anti-Semitic tweets, which were removed, or they were perceived as such. And then she was, that's when the controversy began. And then she did this, which is what you're playing. And it was an apology tour. No, the timeline I saw, and I may be wrong, the timeline I saw was after this speech. In addition to the tweets, but after this is what they were showing on television the whole time. They got better B-roll than this. That's because they had nothing else to show.
They got plenty of B-roll on her.
No, they don't have any B-roll of her just coming out and saying, I hate Jews.
Well, B-roll has no audio that way.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying there's nothing. I know I've heard this whole speech from beginning to end because they played it on Democracy Now! And it's innocuous.
Yes.
She's just going on, and you can play it till hell freezes over. We're not going to find anything in there because there's nothing in there.
The only thing that's in here is this last piece, which I think she has a very good point about.
I want to talk about the political influence in this country that says it is okay for people to push for allegiance to a foreign country. I want to ask, why is it okay for me to talk about the influence of the NRA, of fossil fuel industries, or big pharma, and not talk about a powerful lobbying group that is influencing policy?
I think she has a point there. It's okay for the Democrats to bitch and moan about the NRA and the bankers and big pharma and big oil, but quiet about AIPAC. And that's true.
Well, let's look at it from another perspective. Yeah, it is true. Who says it's not? And we'd take one of the biggest AIPAC supporters, a Democrat, Chuck Schumer. The difference is that you can bitch and moan about NRA because they never give Democrats money. AIPAC does.
Okay.
That's the reason it's okay for the Democrats to bitch and moan about the NRA and not bitch and moan about AIPAC because the NRA doesn't give them any money and AIPAC does. It's all about the money.
Well, which is exactly what she tweeted. It's all about the Benjamins.
Well, she has. Yeah, she's bitching and moaning. Okay, well let's go to the progressive side that would defend her.
Okay,
and they do defend her. And I think that I've always thought that this was a little blown out of proportion and somewhat premature. If this Omar woman is going to hang herself, it's not going to happen with this bit. It'll happen sometime in the future, if at all. But let's go to the rundown of Omar. This is Democracy Now!, and this is their perspective. And you have to remember, Democracy Now! Is pro-Palestinian, anti-Israel.
The House of Representatives overwhelmingly passed a resolution Thursday condemning anti-Semitism, anti-Muslim discrimination, white supremacy, and other forms of hate. The vote was 407 to 23, with nearly 24 Republicans voting against it. The vote capped a week of intense debate among congressional Democrats that began after some lawmakers accused Democratic Congressmember Ilhan Omar of invoking anti-Semitic tropes while questioning U.S. foreign policy on Israel. At an event last week, Congressmember Omar said, quote, "I want to talk about political influence in this country that says it's okay for people to push for allegiance to a foreign country." Democrat Eliot Engel, chair of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, on which Ilhan Omar sits as well, then accused Omar of making a, quote, vile anti-Semitic slur. The House leadership initially drafted a resolution condemning anti-Semitism and what was seen as a direct rebuke of Omar. But many progressive Democrats and Omar, who was one of the first 2 Muslim congresswomen in U.S. history, was unfairly being singled out. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders wrote, "We must not equate anti-Semitism with legitimate criticism of the right-wing Netanyahu government in Israel."
Yeah, Bernie's in a tough spot. Yeah,
Bernie.
He doesn't know. Well, I don't know what to
Bernie's
say now.
in a tough spot because of a lot of things.
Yeah,
they did a thing which I'm going to preface this last clip. This is a short clip. This clips from a Israeli journalist named Gideon Levy, who's kind of one of those pro-Palestinian Israelis, it seems. But I'm going to preface this. She brings on this guy. She brings on some woman who's on a lot of shows. I can't remember her name offhand. And then a Palestinian's at the desk. All three of them condemning everybody, and they're all defending Omar. And I'm looking for some semblance of a little balance in the reporting. I don't like the slants on either side. You were bitching about it with that clip of yours, that it was slanted one way when it was bull crap, obviously, and then the other side slanted. They don't give us these news organizations, and I'm going to do another one. They don't give us any balance. They get, in this case, Amy puts three people on who just bitch and moan, and they all defend Omar. Nobody has any reason not to, because that's the way the balance is. It's not balanced. This guy, I think, has some good arguments, very similar to what you were saying, but he kind of drops the ball where I cut the clip off with an assertion at the end that I just thought was a bit much.
Tel Aviv first. Gideon Levy, your response to the debate and the final passage of the resolution on Thursday in the House of Representatives.
It's wonderful that the House deals with anti-Semitism. It's wonderful that the House condemns anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism should be condemned, but the context is very suspicious and very troubling. Let me be very frank with you, Amy. We have to say the truth. The Israeli lobby, the Jewish lobby, are by far too strong and too aggressive. It's not good for the Jewish community. It's not good for Israel. What is happening now is that some kind of fresh air, some kind of new voices are emerging from Capitol Hill, raising legitimate questions about Israel, about America's foreign policy toward Israel, and about the Israeli lobby in the States. Those are very legitimate questions, and it is more than needed to raise them. But the Israeli propaganda and the Jewish propaganda in recent years made it as a systematic method. Whenever anybody dares to raise questions or to criticize Israel, he is immediately and automatically labeled as anti-Semite, and then he has to shut his mouth, because after this, what can he say? This vicious circle should be broken, and I really hope that great politicians like Mrs. Omar and others will be courageous enough to stand in front of those accusations and to say, yes, it is legitimate to criticize Israel. Yes, it is legitimate to raise questions, and this does not mean that we are anti-Semites. We are not ready to play this game anymore in which they shut our mouths with those accusations, which in most of the cases are hollow.
Huh.
He describes her as a great politician.
Oh, Elon!
I'm not buying it.
Elon's a great politician?
That's what he said. She's a great politician like Ilhan Omar.
Now, I think the Rashid woman, I forget her name, Rashid, I think she's a problem. She's just a troublemaker.
They're all troublemakers.
Yeah. But
they're all the Justice Democrats are troublemakers. That's what they're there for. So we're not,
that's what they're there for. I agree. I'm just saying, even this conversation we had, I guarantee you, either one of us or both will be called either anti-Semite or Islamophobe. You can't have a conversation about it, even on a stupid podcast. Although this is
even on a stupid podcast.
Yeah, not this
podcast,
one. No,
which is not stupid.
I tried to catch myself. You're right.
So I'm watching so they have Brooks and Shields. I'm always bitching about this.
Yep.
Constantly, and it's because it's unbalanced. You got two guys agreeing with each other. Why are they doing that? Is there any possibility that somebody could take the other side of the argument? Because there are other sides of the argument. I don't care what argument it is. There's usually another side. But no. We had two guys agreeing constantly. And the worst example of this, I thought, was they brought Gert, this columnist for the Washington Post, another Trump hater. So you got two Trump haters on this panel.
Woo!
And they got a new Trump hater from the Washington Post. Gershon is his name. And he's a columnist, and he's a Trump hater. And so here's an example of one of them going off on something, and the other one, to show the balance, I want to show how they respond to each other. This is the Gershon and Shields on government overreach regarding the Trump administration.
Let's talk about another move on the part of the Democrats this past week. Now they've got the majority in the House. They are reaching out, asking for documents from scores of Trump administration officials. They're asking for documents from officials in the White House, the president's daughter, Ivanka. They're trying to find out about security clearances, Michael, granted to the president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, his daughter. They're talking another committee is looking at the president's tax returns. The criticism out there is that this could be overreach. Is it overreach? Is it appropriate?
I think the breadth of these demands is equal to the breadth of the slime that we're seeing. I mean, we've seen it at every stage, from campaign to transition to inaugural committee to early White House. There are plenty of ethical problems to examine in this case. And this is a case where the Republican Congress didn't do its duties when it came to oversight. It left a bunch of things completely unanswered, which it should have, just as a matter of integrity, itself have examined, and was used in a political way. And so, I think that Republicans very much brought this on themselves.
I think Michael is absolutely right.
Hey, when is the public not finding this a good product anymore that these news programs are delivering? When are they just tired of the repetition? At a certain point, you can only do so much of the same.
I have no idea, but I think their numbers are dropping, and not dropping to an extreme. They have a captive older audience. That's why they're drug commercials on the commercial networks. But I don't know who's listening to this NPR show, because it is so lopsided. There is no evidence that they can even there's a guy, an Indian guy who writes for the National Review, who comes on once in a while to actually balance Shields. He takes Brooks's place, and he's good. And he does come up with why is this? Well, they're doing it probably because of this and this and this and this, and he explains things a little bit. They really don't like putting him on.
Yes, exactly. So
for one thing, he's smarter than Shields by a lot.
Yeah, PBS, not NPR.
Yeah, PBS. PBS.
Well, we try to deliver an outstanding product twice a week, everybody. I don't know what they're doing, but that's our mission.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
Well, we do have some people to thank for show 11-11, 11-11-11.
11-19.
She's up at the top of the list. She's usually always down in the old.
Hey, 11-19.
I said 11-11, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
I wish it was 11-11. 11-19. Patricia Worthington, $150. She's in Miami.
Hold on. You skipped Keith and Sardingas, and I've got Keith Gibson, $150.
Oh, I see. Because Julian, I just went to the 200 thing I saw there.
Oh, that's wrong. That's interesting. I see what you're saying. Julian,
so I just saw that and I started from there.
Well, Julian Carpenter got a bogus slot in the rundown.
He's somehow missed.
That's weird.
So how did that? That's not even possible.
That's like a sort error, huh? Well, Julian, we're sorry.
Julian Carpenter, $200. I don't have. Let's see if he's got a note. If that's his.
Well,
see if he sent in a note.
We'll fix you though. That's for sure. That's odd.
We'll put you up at the. Sorry, Julian.
Yeah.
Carp. It's very strange. I've never seen that before. Let's see if there's a note from Julian. No, he sent a note on March 9th. Okay.
I'm ready.
Now I see what happened. Eric did put in the slot. He slotted it. I know what he did. He donated 150, then 50 separately he says on accident.
Oh, okay.
But he's obviously millennial because he only said nobody but millennials say that
on accident, by accident.
Yeah, he said on accident. And they say that all the time.
Really?
John, I donated $150 and $50 separately on accident. I wanted to donate a full $200 in one go, but my brain is dumb. Not sure how to fix this or send a note. My name is Julian Carpenter from Avon, Colorado. Hope this makes it to you. Now, he didn't send, could have put a note there, but he didn't. So what I think it was is right at the top of the list of the 150s, and Eric just changed that to 200, and then those other ones.
Got it.
After the sort.
Okay. All right. We're good.
All right, Julian, you're good to go.
You're good to go.
Yeah.
Associate exec.
Bumped up into the
associates.
The associates where you belong. Complications. Back to the chart. I'm glad you pointed that out because I probably would have missed it. Keith Gibson, $150. Sir Dingus in Moreland Hills, Ohio, $150. Dame Patricia Worthington, $150. A lot of $150, including Julian Carpenter. Will Robertson in Dos Palos, California, 12345. He's been a listener for 9 years.
Wow.
He's nearing knighthood.
Okay.
He wants drone again sometime. Maybe we'll play that later. Luca Mario Asberto in Savosa, Switzerland. So so I was fascinated by this. He had a nice little note, and he says, I donated. He says just thanks for doing the show. But so I had to find where's Savosa, Switzerland. So I looked it up. It's down at the very bottom. It's in the Ticino canton. He's like 20 miles from the border with
It's like Italy, right? Yeah, it's almost Italy, sure.
Border. He's in Italy.
but he's masking as a Swiss.
Well, it's in Switzerland, but it's in that part of Switzerland that might as well be Italy.
Right. And this is a Swiss franc donation, 124 Swiss francs and 44 Swiss francettes.
Yeah, it turns out to be Swiss franc is worth $0.99 dollars.
Yeah, we're pegging. We're pegging the franc.
Close. It's pretty even.
Yeah,
which is good. So all you Swiss out there, you can donate in Swiss francs, and nobody's going to complain. Luca Mario I'm sorry, that was Luca. Andrew Spieler Siraka. Jeez, I'm just having trouble today. $111.90. Sir Arthur Gobbets, 111.90.
This is 10 cents for every show so far, and that's Sir Arthur Gobbets, who's from the Netherlands. Of course, he's Sir Hugger of Kitties, protector of the Groninger gas fields, Baron van Slochteren to Heusinge.
Right.
I know, I nailed it.
Von Glitschka, 3 thumbs up, $111.11. Joe Salazar, and also, he's in somewhere parts unknown. Is it Sir Rob Van Dyke?
I don't know. I don't think so.
He's in Holland. He gave 100. Dame Laura of the Snowy Cascades, Sammamish, Washington, 100. Bill Fleming in Tulsa, Oklahoma, 100. David Colpa, 100 from Boynton Beach, Florida. Sean Davis, 100. Giovanni Gomez, 100. John Haller in Missoula, Montana.
And he has 100. This is in addition to my $50 a month donation. My 75th birthday is March 12th. No karma, no jingle. Just more analysis that keeps me grounded. And he says he got his first knighthood 2 years ago, and now he's reached his second. Well, that means he's a baronet. Baronet, because he says knight me again.
John Holler.
Okay, so John Holler will be a baronet. Adding that now.
John Holler
at
the moment. Christopher Azrak, 8008. Sir Herb Lamb, 8008. He wants to meet up in Atlanta. Atlanta's great. We can go meet up Buckhead.
It's the classy part. Isn't that where they have the high-end strip bar?
They have high-end strip bars all over the place.
Is that Cheetah? No,
those days were. That used to be the Cheetah 3, the Cheetah 4, and then the big one was the Gold Club.
You would know.
I would. I used to go there all the time, and people would always want to go to these strip clubs because there was a bunch of, okay, I'll take you there because I didn't mind doing that. And one of the older strip clubs, which moved and became a number. It was the Sheet at 3, I think. Used to be more of a vaudeville place. They had or burlesque, not vaudeville, but burlesque. They had strippers. But then they had a dirty comic that played the banjo, and this dirty comic would come out and do about 20 minutes. It was really funny.
Straight from Reseda, here she is, Raven. Give it up.
Yeah, that's where I got my patter.
Classic.
Doboslav Slaveneskoy. I'm thinking. He's in North Woodland, New Hampshire, 7777.
And he's a brand new listener, so he'd like a de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
He's the president, by the way, of the New England Frozen Wastelands Barbarian Club.
Outstanding.
And
excellent.
KGB, says KGB. Jeffrey Breyer in Dresden, Ontario, 75. For another first-time donor, Johannes Hammerson.
You've been de-douched.
Johannes Hammerson in Munich, Deutschland. München, 75. Michael Greer, 6969.
From the Log House in Pennsylvania. He wants to do a meetup. Actually, I got another request for a couple of Pennsylvania meetup requests.
It's the middle of winter, people.
Yeah, it's a little cold there. Yeah.
Jeez. Matthew Mongan in $69. Edward Flores in San Jose, California, 6666. Sir Hamus, 6666.
He has a call out. Please accept this as a payment for an invisible no agenda hat for each of my 2 douchebags friends, William and Robert. Douchebag. And they can share the douchebag.
Brian Pearson, 6666. Matthew Cole Perricone, I think.
Perricone,
maybe. 6543.
Yes, okay.
Dame Bang Bang in Buellton, California, 56. She's a famous person, so I'll have to read her note.
She wants goat karma for Dame Simona.
I'll read the note. Requesting goat karma for Dame Simona, as we want to hear as if she has been accepted to the amazing self-sustaining rural boarding high school. We also need some scholarship karma, as this $56 donation is only 0.1% of the annual tuition.
You've got karma.
There you go.
Well, we knew the calculation on the annual tuition, but it sounds like a pretty expensive high school to me.
It does to me, too.
Hey, homeschooling. Jeffrey Anderson, Stuart, Florida, 5555. James McClure, 5510. Tyler Hebb, 5510. Jason Petrie, 5510. Robert Clayson in London, UK, 5445. Robert Tablak in Youngstown, Ohio, 5333. Chris Schooler.
I think it's Sir Chris from New Zealand.
It's Sir Chris, and he's in yes.
53rd year around the earth, and that's his amount. And he's on the list. Yeah, he's on the list.
Sir Eric Hokel in Mulrose, Deutschland, 52. Chris Swimley, nearby in Austin, Texas. He's 52.
Oh, this is the profit from the 4 No Agenda meetup shirts he sold. If people, very popular. If people are still interested in getting one, they can go to, and he has a link.
I saw these shirts. They're dynamite.
They look
people
great.
Should go buy them.
Yes, they do look good. It's
got a big goat on it.
FMIdesigns.com/NA Austin Meetup shirt, all one word, all lowercase. FMIdesigns.com, as in Frank Michael India. FMIdesigns.com/NA Austin Meetup shirt. Thanks, Chris.
Rylan Keeler, 5150.
Dame Salsa Queen, 5150.
Stephen Tucker, 5133. Marlon York in the Hague, 51. Clifford Muchler, Muchler, 38.
Yes, he wants us.
Fellas, he writes. Here's my 50 plus 38 because you're still doing a great job and because the sad puppy is so effective. If you have time, please call out Steve Swern,
douchebag,
and Marty Mack as douchebags. Okay, they know who they are. Sir Dwight of the Night Chick, Burlington, Ontario, Canada, 5005. Matthew McCoy, 5005 in Burleson, Texas. A dude named Ned.
Excellent.
I don't know why that's funny. 5001. The following people, meanwhile, are $50 donors. Name and location: Roy Ten Hava
in Pijnacker.
Robert
Pijnacker.
In Pijnacker,
the Netherlands.
Pijnacker.
See, I show up on TV here. I do one TV show. Boom, $50.
Yeah, there you go. Now, Pijnacker is. You'll see if anyone watches that video of the woman playing the theremin. Will understand how this town got named. Robert DeCaney in Fairfax, Virginia. Larry Hay in Mooresville, North Carolina. Dorian Knitsky, I'm guessing, in Rockledge, Pennsylvania, 50. These are all $50 donors. Joshua Smith in Port Orchard, Washington. Peter Kammerer in St. Louis, Missouri. Black Knight, Sir Lineman of the Net, 50. Sir Scott of Diablo, 50. Black Knight, Sir EZ, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Tony Smith in Fort Worth, Texas. Good number here, by the way. John Prebaz in Washington, D.C. Sean DeSantis in Fort Pierce, Florida. Chris Keller. Ian Moore. Jeff Friss. Eric Hoff. Marco Castellanos. James Wages. Not in Lost Wages, but Carneysville, Georgia. Robert Evans. Cassidy Eastwood from Oklahoma City with a long note. You want to look it over?
Oh, she was at the meetup, and
she came to the meetup.
Yeah, she came to the meetup, and she talks about how she was really afraid to. She was timid, even though she's very extroverted normally, and she was embarrassed to ask for a picture. And she sent a copy of it.
Let's stop the show right now. Oh. If you want a picture, because I had this too. I've had a couple of things. I don't know why. We love to have our picture taken.
Hell yeah.
Adam especially. So don't be shy about having the picture taken. Just do it.
Yeah, I'm there to meet everybody. I'm there to.
You want to get your picture taken? Yeah. It's great. I always have the exact same look on my face. I'm usually doing the salute or I'm pointing. You could, by the way, just go Photoshop me and put me in there with you if you don't want to actually have the picture.
There is one point of order, and you brought it up on the tweeters. We do need to bring back the host head on a stick. So if it's a meetup I'm doing, someone needs to bring John's head on a stick, and vice versa. Right. It's very important for these meetups.
This is true. It's for the vibe.
For the continuity.
But yes, no, don't. Yes, no.
Yeah, no.
Do not be shy about, can I have your picture taken? Just don't even think about it. Assume that that's what we're angling for. We like to have our picture taken with our
producers.
Producers.
Yeah,
and
producers,
all the rest. It's just what we do. It's just fine. It's not even an issue. I had people years ago, I remember they would bring a copy of PC Magazine, want me to autograph an article they liked, and then they'd frame it, I guess.
Yeah.
And I had no problem with that, but they're always so reticent about asking me. I don't care. I'm not, there's certain famous baseball player, Ted Williams. He wouldn't sign autographs.
I have an autographed Ted Williams picture somewhere.
You do?
Yes. No,
it's worth about $10,000.
I'm sorry. It's a charcoal drawing of him with his signature on it.
Really?
Yeah. Now I'm thinking, where the hell is it? My mom got that. My mom was a big Sox fan. Bo Sox.
That thing is worth a fortune. Any Ted Williams autograph is worth a lot of money. I mean, I think they're worth $1,000 or $2, but any picture or anything that he signed, because he hated signing autographs, rarely did them. When I was a little kid, I used to go to Wrigley Field and watch usually the Dodgers and the Cubs. Those are the teams I like to watch. And there was one guy, I think he was on I don't know what team it was. I can't quite. I will remember it eventually. And I was a little kid. Getting autographs. Everyone would sign autographs. Duke Snyder, I had his autograph. You get all these autographs. There was one dick who refused. Now, I don't sign autographs, kid. I'm a little kid. I'm a little kid. Can I get your autograph? No. So
the only autograph I ever got was Tom Seaver.
Poor Tom Seaver. He's gone into dementia.
Ah, well, I have a glove with his signature. Also,
you have a
somewhere.
glove signed by him.
Somewhere.
God, that's got to be worth about $2,000-$3,000, maybe.
That's it. My exit.
Okay, Cassidy Eastwood in Oklahoma City, 50. And last but not least, Drew Mochak over here in El Cerrito, who I expect to see at a meetup one of these days, 50. I want to thank all these folks for producing show 1119 and keeping us going. And thanks for warming up to the puppy.
Yes, thank you all very much. Your support is incredibly valuable and necessary. It's how our Value for Value network works. It's how it functions. We got people doing all kinds of things, sending us notes at their own peril often for places they work or attend school, although we're happy to keep you anonymous. We have people doing artwork, have jingles, all kinds of topics, experts, dudes named Ben, dudettes named Bernadette. You name it, it's all here, and a lot of people who help finance the operation. Thank you very much. And also everyone who came in under 50 for reasons of anonymity, or if you're on one of our programs. And if you're not, get on one of our subscriptions. Everything helps. There's a request for proposals, an RFP from Pittsburgh. Sir Ryan J. Brady, Knight of the Three Rivers, feels that it would be a good place to have a meetup. So go to noagendameetups.com and get it started. Anyone can do that. Also note that Sunday the 17th, we have the Sydney, Australia meetup, 3 p.m. at the Gasoline Pony in Marrickville. And there's a meetup I'd like to be at. That would be great.
Where's this?
Sydney.
Oh, yeah.
Sydney, Australia.
You could take. It's probably shorter from where you are going over the South Pole.
Yeah.
I don't know how you'd get there. Never mind. It's probably the longest flight in the world.
Yeah, you can't do that. The Earth is flat. It doesn't work that way. You can't fly. You have to go the other way. But please make sure you have Adam and John's head on a stick to make it an official meetup. That would be fantastic. We appreciate that. Again, thank you, everybody, for your support of the show. Sad Puppy worked. Let's try and even it out, keep it kind of moving on a flowing plane so we don't have the yo-yo effect. But again, very happy. And thank you. Next show coming to you from, I'll be back in Austin. Support us at
Dvorak.org/NA.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Pi Day.
Oh, Pi Day, yes.
You've got karma.
Pi Day.
It's your birthday.
It is the 10th of March, 2019. Here are the birthdays on our list for today. Ed Flores turned 66 yesterday, as did Greg Jarbola, only we don't know how old he is, but he did celebrate yesterday. Baron Dirty Dick Bangs of D.C. says happy birthday to his son Archer. John Haller turned 75 on March 12th, and Chris Scholar celebrating his birthday. Happy birthday from everybody here at the best podcast in the universe. We got 1, 2, 3 nights to do, so we need Eric Miller, Greg Stoddard, and Jim Von Aken. I bring out the blade for this.
Got it.
Okay, perfect. Eric, Greg, Jim, hop on up, gentlemen. Thank you very much for your support of the No Agenda Show in the amount of $1,000 or more. That brings you all to the round table of the No Agenda Knights and Dames, where we have all the goodies for you, your night ring, etc. But first, let me pronounce the KD. Sir Eric of the Norwalk Archipelago. Knights of the Spectrum for Greg, and Sir Jim Bob. Gentlemen, for you, we've got Hookers and Blow, Rent Boys, and Chardonnay. We have a brisket and beer, cookies and vodka, warm beer and cold women. We've got chilled Polish potato vodka, fish pie and fellatio, breast milk and pablum, ginger ale and gerbils, bong hits and bourbon, gauges and sake, Rubinets, women and rosé, and mutton and mead. I think I forgot something I was supposed to have at the table today. What did I forget? Someone wanted something. Oh, I'll put it on the table for next time. So email me. Somehow I didn't take.
Oh, the upgrade?
No, not an upgrade. There was some ingredients someone wanted at the round table, and
okay.
Yeah, but we'll make sure we do it for the next time.
We'll get to it eventually.
Title changes, turn and face the slave. Title changes. Don't wanna be a douchebag.
upgrades on the titles today. Sir Crash EMT becomes Baron of the Holly Springs and Fuqua, and Sir John Haller becomes a Baronet. Congratulations to both of you, and you can, of course, upgrade that on your LinkedIn, your business cards, etc. And we appreciate the support. Dvorak.org/NA. We were talking about Australia. Actually, a very interesting clip from Australia, which is probably just the beginning of things to come. I'm sure we will see a lot more of these problems all around the globe. But certainly when we roll out 5G, initially I thought this might be a 5G story. It's good regardless.
A technician scouring every angle of a Joondalup pharmacy, searching for the rogue signal that's been jamming electronic car keys.
Not working? No. I had to put it up.
Just a handful of motorists reported the problem today, but more than 100 shoppers over the past week have been locked out of their vehicles. Experts believe something inside the pharmacy has malfunctioned and is causing the issue.
It is very unique. It's something I haven't seen before myself, and I'd imagine we will probably never see anything like this again for some time.
Locked now. Although it's not believed to be a deliberate act, it's raised security concerns for devices sharing a similar frequency as a car key.
There are known attacks out there which are used to compromise garage door systems and unlocking remotes for cars, known as the roll jam attack.
Technicians are working there right now to fix the problem.
Alice, the experts trying to get to the bottom of this mystery have had to wait until the end of trading today to get access into the pharmacy. Just in the last half an hour, they've told me the signal has disappeared, which has prompted a new theory about what's causing this problem. Now they think it could be the buzzer system the pharmacy uses to alert customers when their prescriptions are ready, which we're told operates on the same frequency as electronic car keys. They can't confirm that this is the case, as it's a process of elimination and it could still be days before they know for certain what's behind it. The shopping centre will have security on tomorrow, directing customers away from the affected area, but they say anyone who has a problem should contact the centre management immediately. Alice?
So this is the second report. This happened a couple days ago in Perth. And you see all these people, just they can't operate their vehicles. And they had to leave them overnight.
Hey, man, get a car with a key.
Yeah.
A real key. Let me tell you, I got a couple stories about this. So when I got my Lexus, the SC400, the one that is it's 25-year-old
25,
car,
yeah.
So I got my 25-year-old car. So when I had it within the first year or two, I was at some event and some PR event for some company. And the woman, PR woman, says, "Oh yeah, I've got one of those. They're great until it was stolen." I said, "What? This was stolen?" She says, "Yes, this is a car, the auto car, because it has a little button you push on the key and it opens the door." Apparently, this was an era. I remember this specifically. There was for sale a device you could buy. It was it was on sale for about a year before it was taken off the market. I probably should have bought one. That you push this button and it unlocks every car in a parking lot.
You think that still works?
I think for old cars it does.
Oh, for old cars, yeah.
But nowadays they're very complicated. I mean, it's outrageously secure.
What was interesting?
But anyway, back to my story. So I disabled that feature of the car and never used it again.
Right. Well, I mean, this is just with cars. I mean, and initially they thought, oh, someone put a new router in somewhere because there are a couple other stores near this parking lot or around the parking lot, like a strip mall. And then they finally conclude, and I would believe this, that it's one of those restaurant alert mechanisms where you get a little disc or a square or a crab.
Yeah.
And then
lights.
So I'm sure that's sending off all kinds of dirty signals. Got to have harmonics all over the place. But still, to blanket an entire parking lot.
Well, even part of one is so you can't get it. Because now, why do you have a car?
You're on with. We all agree on that. I'd like to know what really happened, which is not conclusive. But yeah, why would you have a car that can? Because cars are being made that way. They're tracked.
Yes, cars are currently being made where although there are little workarounds on some situations, like for example, your car key. If you can get in your car, there's some cars you can't get in.
Right. Yeah,
this electronic.
This was a lot. Yeah, this was a lot of these people could not get into their car.
Yeah, you can't get in your car. There's no keyhole.
And even
which is bull crap.
Like the Tesla. My favorite.
Yeah, I think a Tesla's that way.
Yeah, sure is.
So let's assume that you can get in your car, because like a lot of the Priuses, they are all electronic like that, but they do have a keyhole that you can on the driver's side only usually.
Mm-hmm.
And there's keyhole, you can get in the car, but then now you have to trigger the car fob is the one you have the push button starter, this goes back to the 30s when there was push button starters. So the push button starter is supposed to be so convenient. Unless you happen to walk, there's a million problems with these, but okay. There is a workaround on most cars where if your battery and your little key is dead, you can't open the door, you can't start the car. There's nothing you can do with a dead battery in the little key fob. But if you have a keyhole, you can open it and get in, and then there's some sort of a workaround. You have to take a bobby pin or something, and you got to stick it over here, and you got to do this. It's like jerry rigging, and it'll start. It's bad.
Yeah, I'm just thinking maybe I'm
just disable half the public.
Yeah, well, Professor Ted is laughing in his jail cell. He's laughing away because we're going to run into all these interferences. This is just the beginning. I mean, look at how, I don't know about you, but when we're in our building, I frequently have to have my router rescan for a different channel to use because someone moves, someone comes in, default setup, boom. Then or maybe it just starts to interfere, and then you have to do that again. And it's creepy when you see how many signals pop up. It's pollution. It's going to be problematic, and we're going to see these frequencies. I think we'll see a lot more of this, and this might have been dangerous. I don't know, and maybe it is just a 5G thing. I'm sure 5G is not going to make things better.
It's bad. Don't buy a car that doesn't have a key.
Right.
Some way to get in the car and start it without having a battery issue or jamming issue.
This would be interesting to see what cars are still available with just pure key.
Well, I don't think there's any pure key car.
Oh, no, but one that has one. Yeah.
At least a key backup would be nice.
I mean, all the technology is starting to disappoint severely, and one of the things that we always laugh about when it comes to net neutrality is, oh, you want net neutrality? Okay, so that means that, the telemedicine, the doctor doing the operation, he needs to have, you can't have priority bandwidth. And now that we have telemedicine, you might have seen the story. People are very disappointed by telemedicine in practice. This was in California.
A family in Northern California is devastated. After rushing a loved one to the hospital because he couldn't breathe, they say a robot rolled into his room to deliver grim news.
I don't know if he's going to get home.
Okay. A doctor appeared in the robot's video screen to let Ernest Quintana know his lungs were failing and he didn't have long to live. Quintana's family members can't believe a robot was used in that situation.
Devastated. I was going to lose my grandfather. We knew that it was coming and that he was very sick, but I don't think somebody should get that news delivered that way. It should have been a human being come in.
He already has a problem hearing, so with that and everything he couldn't hear, she had to repeat everything that doctor was saying.
Quintana did die a couple of days later. A spokesperson for the hospital issued a statement offering condolences and saying they regret falling short in meeting family expectations.
Did you see this thing?
Yeah, it was pathetic.
It really was.
But wasn't this an element of the movie Up in the Air with Clooney, where they were firing people and they were using a computer screen to do it at some point as they were advancing?
Oh man, you're asking this. I haven't seen this movie in a while. You're asking me something here I don't know.
Oh, but Up in the Air is really one of the Clooney. Does these?
I remember the movie. It was a cool little movie. It was sweet.
It was a very good little.
Didn't
movie.
it win an Oscar?
No, I don't think so.
I thought it won some award. It was a nice little movie.
Yeah.
But it wasn't really a robot. It was just one of those, a video on a Segway, a video screen on a Segway, so that the doctor can joystick control his monitor up next to you and say, "Hey, you're gonna die. You're gonna die. You might die." Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
And that's
a scandal. So I've got 3 clips of updating North Korea.
Okay, that will be it because we're running out of time.
Yeah, well, I'm going to update. I want to get these out of the way. There's 3 clips. It brings up a few issues that we need to talk about for a minute.
Okay.
And it's the North Korea update. It's on PBS, and this is number 1.
What are the North Koreans doing at this facility?
So this is a facility that they partially disassembled, and now they're reassembling what they disassembled. And that includes rebuilding a testing stand, relaying railroad, and reattaching a roof. So the facility is once again operational. But let's put in some perspective. When you say a facility for testing, it is not a missile launch facility. This has launched satellites into orbit. So this is not necessarily an indication that they're going to launch a rocket with any kind of tip or an ICBM, a missile that can reach the United States. But if they did test another satellite, that would be a violation of a Security Council resolution. And the technology that North Korea uses in that satellite test site would be the exact same technology that they use in long-range missiles. So that is why U.S. officials are concerned.
There is some concern. So it's our understanding, senior administration official briefed reporters yesterday on a lot of this. What was learned?
We learned basically that the U.S. approach has shifted in a major way before Hanoi, and that really led the president to try and seek a grand bargain that most experts say was doomed to fail.
All right. So they've changed their strategy on the Korea situation. How did this come about? Let's listen to the next clip.
Was doomed to fail. So let's understand the shift. I'll take you back to January. Steve Biegun, the top U.S. negotiator, gave a big speech at Stanford, and he said the U.S. was willing to take a step. North Korea takes a step. It's a staged approach. He also said that the U.S. was willing to talk about not only denuclearization, but the topics that North Korea wanted to talk about, finding a peace regime on the North Korean peninsula, and also improving relations between the countries, and they were willing to talk about all those things simultaneously.
We have communicated to our North Korean counterparts that we are prepared to pursue, simultaneously and in parallel, all of the commitments our 2 leaders made in their joint statement at Singapore last summer.
Now, that was January. Let me read you a statement by a senior State Department official from yesterday. Nobody in the administration advocates a step-by-step approach. In all cases, the expectation is a complete denuclearization of North Korea as a condition for all the other steps being taken. And so every expert we talk to say this is a major shift that led the president to ask for a front-loaded grand bargain, all of the North Korean nuclear weapons for all of the sanctions relief. And the U.S. went further and demanded a freeze of chemical and biological weapons. That's not something that the U.S. has done before. And in Hanoi, North Korea said, look, we don't trust the U.S. enough to make this kind of grand bargain. The North Koreans put a relatively smaller deal on the table that experts we talked to say was meant to be a starting point. But the president did not like that, wanted that front-loaded bargain, and walked away rather than negotiate.
So a shift. Why?
We don't know for sure, but what the officials I speak to point to 2 things. One, John Bolton, the National Security Advisor, was at the table in Hanoi, has never believed in a staged approach.
So we got that guy involved.
Douche. But he was he's all the way at the end.
This whole thing is falling apart. And Trump, I don't know, does he notice
hold on.
scheme?
Question. Do we really know if it's falling apart, or is this just how Trump negotiates?
That's what I'm thinking. It's possible, but I still see Bolton there until they fire him. I'm suspicious.
Well, think about this. Bolton at any point could be used as a chip, as a bargaining chip. Like, oh, you know what? I understand. Yes, Bolton's. You know what? I'll fire Bolton, but you still got to denuke.
It's an old trick.
Yeah. Fire the guy. Fire the problem guy.
Pat McGovern, who used to run Computer World magazine and InfoWorld and all these other. He told me this story. He said that he would always have a columnist in Computer World that was just a kick-ass columnist that would always just say he'd just be a mean-spirited columnist. But it wasn't anybody. It was like a team of people, but it had a guy's name. Oh. And his bit was
Mark Pugner.
A company coming to Pat. This is terrible. You've besmirched my company, IBM or whatever it was. This columnist has just been killing us. And Pat would say, "You're right. I'm firing him."
That's a great story.
And then he would put into some other columnist that was another bogus name.
This is a great idea.
I thought that was a great idea.
Mark Pugner was his name, right?
No, I never used Pugner. But Cringely, the original Cringely was a fake, even though some guy decided to sue because he was doing the column and he wanted to keep it. Anyway, the point is that that's a trick.
Yes.
It's possibly that's what he's up to, but I really dislike this Bolton character a lot. But then there's a second element here, and I want to this is the one I really want to comment on, which is included in part 3.
Number 2, the president has soured, according to one senior administration official, on South Korean President Moon Jae-in, who has been advocating for this staged approach and instead is listening to Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe, who says don't trust the North Koreans.
So what's next? What does that mean?
Administration officials say they believe no bridges were burned. They hope that negotiations continue, and they say that they understand the North Korean program, they understand what North Korea wants a little better than they did before Hanoi. But the question is, what is the deal that the U.S. wants next? North Korea says it's open.
So it's not a dead deal, and
not at all.
Your thinking is correct. But the thing about this last comment, which they never bring this stuff up, the Japanese do not like the Koreans historically.
Oh, there's some nasty ass crap that went on between them.
They hate them.
Yeah.
And they're very fearful that a combined North-South Korea would be a industrial juggernaut that would directly – they're already having trouble with China, but they would have even more trouble because the Koreans hate the Japanese too, and they would love to compete with them in the international market for high-tech products.
Well, it would be total payback for when they went in and slaughtered people.
Well, and also burned their libraries.
The Japanese, they did horrible things to the Koreans.
Yes. And so Abe is going to reflect that no matter what, because he's a Japanese guy and he's not going to like the Koreans. And the Japanese industrialists are very afraid of a combined North-South Korea, which is what the South Korean guy wants, because they know it will be a problem for them in the international market in terms of manufactured goods. And so this whole thing, which, by the way, should be discussed. Yeah. But nobody mentions this.
And exactly. And now the minute you said that, I'm like, oh, yeah, where were the rockets flying over? Well, primarily Japan. When they were still shooting them off, they're lighting stuff up, was go over Japan. And that's pretty obvious that they're like, hey, ha, ha, ha. But it would be even better if the North and South reunite and they become a powerhouse. Oh, man. What will Japan do? Well, they got the Olympics.
They got to up their ante.
They're dead. They're dead in the water.
Up the game.
If you got the Olympics, your country's going bankrupt. So it's just a fact of life, people. We all know how it works. All right, everybody. That's it. That's our deconstruction for today. I can't wait to see what the week will bring us. As we'll be back, I'll be back in Austin post South by on Thursday for Thursday's show.
When does South by close?
Oh, I think it closes Monday. I think.
No.
I hereby declare it closed. It's done. And, keep everything coming. And also remember us at Dvorak.org/NA, coming to you from the runway suite here at the Schiphol Airport in Gitmo Nation Lowlands. And until Thursday in the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from Northern Silicon Valley, I'm John C. Dvorak.
Again, we return Thursday right here on No Agenda. And again, Dvorak.org/NA. Until then, adios, mofos, and such. Oh, yeah, thanks to Matt Lizari, Tom Starkweather, and Danny Luce for our end-of-show mixes. There you go, everybody. Adios and such. Bye-bye. Hey, citizen.
In the morning.
You heard it here.
House music.
It's your worst fear. That's right. You heard it here. And I'm the boss. That's right. You heard it here. So it's your worst fear. That's right. And I'm the boss. So when I I was getting up out of bed. Literally what I saw, looking at myself in the mirror, the power, you've got all the power. It was the voice, it was me. So the power was my inner voice.
That's right.
2 weeks ago, she's just a waitress. And I'm like,
that's right.
I'm at least trying.
Talk about you being the boss.
Oh, it's unrealistic. Oh, it doesn't address this little minute thing. And I'm like, regardless of the success, I'm the boss.
That's right.
And that moment was actually really freeing. Because no one else has even tried. I'm at least trying. The power is in the person who's trying, and they're not. I just introduced Green New Deal 2 weeks ago. It's creating all of this conversation externalized in an email. Every critical, horrible thing that I was already saying. And I'm like, so until you do it, I'm the boss. You try. You do it. So I'm the boss. Literally what I saw, looking at myself in the mirror, the power, it's your worst fear. Oh, it doesn't address this little minute thing. She's just a waitress.
You heard it here.
And they're not.
That's right.
Oh, it's unrealistic. Oh, it's vague. When literally there were only two choices. The other choice was like, why on earth would we endorse her, regardless of the success? Why? It's your worst fear. So it didn't work, was my inner voice. And I'm the boss. Why? Because you're not. You try. So until you do it, I'm the boss.
You might die. Obviously, because you don't believe in climate change at all. You made a comment.
Just a minute. I believe in climate change.
Shut up.
No planes, no energy. When the wind stops blowing, that's the end of your electric. Let's hurry up.
If you were an actual scientist, is she a scientist? Is she a licensed professional in this field?
She's 16 years old. She's a high school kid.
But now we're scared about the rain because there can be floods and there can be mudslides.
Shut up, sir.
Because of the climate crisis.
No, since the 1800s, it's been written about the hell that is California.
Just a minute. I believe in climate change. Shut up.
Oh, by the way, Dianne Feinstein does remember.
Shut up.
Sir, I'm open.
It's daylight savings. Yeah, it's my least favorite holiday.
It kills people.
The first country to actually have daylight savings and standardize it across the country was actually Germany, or the German Empire to be more precise, during World War I.
Scott Harding is one of many growers dependent on daylight to get the job done.
You have to quit that much soon. You have to have everything picked up before the sun goes down.
The Sunshine Protection Act, which would end the changing of the clocks once and for all.
Our goal is we spring forward this weekend. We're not going to have to fall back in the fall if we get our bill passed into law.
Daylight savings makes this a whole more complex thing to work out.
Stop daylight saving time. That's what I want.
Change the back, change the forward, change the back, change the forward. For what? For what?
The drone again, naturally.
Mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA.
You might die.